What's good, y'all? It's your boy Sean Peter Blunt got hey, and we are back again with another special stream where we have ELiDZ in the building. What's going on, ELiDZ? Speak to the people.
Present once again. I'm excited to close out these Understanding Haki retrospect.
Yes, sir.
Part 2 of part 3.
Part 2 of part 3, right? And this is pretty much part, I want to say 7 of our series together, right? Like, so it's part 7 where we talk. It's part
That's
7
poetic.
where we're doing part 3 or part 2 of part 3.
Exactly.
Man, facts. But all right, before we get into the video though, guys, before we get into everything, make sure you hit that like button. Also subscribe and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and if you're looking for a One Piece community to be a part of, we have the Discord and we have the Facebook group. See, I'm off today, man. I'm off. I've been off. Like that last week off kind of just threw me off my game. But yeah, we're here today anyway, regardless. And yeah, so before I get into that, let me check the chat. We have a John Me. John Me. He says hi. Welcome. Shout out to John. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, and another thing I kind of also want to talk about the channel today. We're kind of doing the normal streams at like the old times, but for like the normal streams, like this being a special stream, that's why we're doing it at this time. The normal streams that I do during the week, I will probably be doing it much earlier in the day. You know what I'm saying? So yes, so just we'll get there when we get there. You know, and I think the next stream I'm gonna probably do is gonna be on Thursday, so that one will probably be much earlier in the day for you guys who follow along with these streams. I know the time is going to be different, so y'all let me know what times you guys like. You know, I know some of you guys are in the UK, and I try to I feel as though doing this much earlier will definitely benefit for my UK subscribers. I got a lot of guys I got a lot of subscribers over in the UK and over in Asia and Europe and all that. So yeah, so I'm hoping these earlier streams are beneficial for you guys, you know, and it's still early enough to be beneficial to my US followers, you know. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so what are we talking about today, man? What are we going to be reacting to today?
All right. So the last time we saw this video, we covered the heart chakra, which is the first level observation. Then we went into third eye chakra, which I believe to be the second level. And then we covered some of the throat chakra, which is the introduction to Conquerors. For the most part, I talked about Conquerors as we know it, which is, you know, that force that knocks people out. And then I said, I think it's a noise, it's a sound, but it's a spiritual sound. So you almost kind of think of it as a dog whistle. It's not something you're physically supposed to hear, but it's a sound that exists.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vibration. And this is actually shown throughout the anime specifically because the sound effect they use for Conquerors Haki is literally the noise of a vibration.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's like the scene when Luffy uses Conquerors Haki and you can literally see Horty Jones, like his body shakes.
Yeah.
Just presenting evidence as to why it's vibration.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the entry. There was so much information to explain, I had to make a part 2 because there's another aspect of throat chakra that's more than just sound. Another thing I talked about was ether. So ether means supreme air, which in a way, exactly.
Yeah, the breath of the heavens,
breath of the
or
gods.
the air of the heavens. Yeah, breath of the gods, or yeah.
Yeah, both works, heavens and gods.
Yeah.
In fact, Conquerors Haki is a lot of times attributed to heaven. So the whole thing with the ether is that Chi means breath, it means air. Well, ether basically means an elevated version of that.
Yeah.
So whereas the heart chakra is air and that's chi, the throat chakra, which is the chakra right above heart chakra, is an elevated version of that, and that is haki. Ki means chi, haki means supreme chi. So that just goes to show the relevance of the throat. And what is another thing haki is often referred to as is voice. So it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as crazy and elaborate as my theories are, there's actually dots you can put together.
Yeah. That's why you say force, because you kind of make me think of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like how they use
It's
the force.
very much like Star Wars.
Yeah. In some ways, yeah. I can definitely see the connection of it, you know.
In fact, one of the things about Conqueror's coding that whenever you see two people clash with Conqueror's coding, you can see basically a force clash, and you see nothing between them, but clearly something's happening, almost like when you have two the same polarities clashing with one another.
Yep, I got you.
So,
all right, real quick, let me read these chats. We got Angel's Room, you know, acting foolish, trying to troll. You know, his favorite anime is Fairy Tail, so you know he keeps bringing Fairy Tail up for some reason. He says, "Yo, what happened to the Understanding Fairy Tail magic stream?" I don't know. You haven't made it yet. I'm still waiting on you to make that stream, man. You know, you let me know when you make it. You know, I'll promote you. Then we got Q with the yo. Shout out to Q. Welcome to the stream. And the Angel said, "By the way, Bluff, you kind of quiet, but ELiDZ is good." Well, he was talking, so am I supposed to talk over somebody else talking? Is that what you want? But yeah, he loves Fairy Tail. You know, he talks about it all through the Discord. Just how much he talks about his passion for it.
No comment. Nah, I'm not gonna do it. I've watched Fairy Tail from start to finish. I can't say I have like a lot of love for it, but I do have appreciation. I think just to talk about Fairy Tail real quick, my comment on it, which would be, I think the character design is good. Just character concepts. Everything about the characters are great, but the story itself is where. But I like the characters of Fairy Tail. I think that's the shining. That's why it's successful. Really, it's just the characters. You look at the characters and you like them.
Yeah. He said, I guess he said my volume is low. I guess that's what he meant. I was quiet. I thought he meant like I wasn't talking enough. I thought he meant I wasn't talking enough. I'm like, hey, I'm not supposed to be loud. Hold on. Let me turn my volume up, I guess. Yo. Hold on. Let me, I'm going to turn it up at the mic. Turn that gain up. Yo. Is that better?
Oh, you sounded all right to me the whole time, but
yeah, like my
to the stream.
Do I sound like real much louder?
I have headphones on, so to me it's probably like coming right through, but hopefully the chat gives feedback.
Give me a 1 in the chat if the volume is better, or give me a 2 if it's still low. Somebody let me know, definitely. Angel said Fairy Tail ain't my favorite. I just know you don't like it. And then he says, yes, Understanding the third Hokage video coming out soon. Hey man, I'm waiting on you to do some videos, Angel. Go ahead. And then he said, and yes, it's better. I don't know. Cube gave me a 2, so I guess, is it not better or better? Y'all, Cube, what is it? Just say, is it better? Just say, is it if it's better or not, you know. But yeah, anyway, just a little better. Hold on. What about that? That should be better. I turned it up a lot just now, so that should be much better. Anyway, I think I'm ready to get into this video. This Understanding Haki video. If you are ready, unless you got something to say? You know what I'm saying?
Nope, not really. Just we're gonna pick up just where the last chapter ended. Just a couple of seconds of the last chapter, just to give us a little refresher. But I'm ready.
Okay, and also guys, you know, if you rock with ELiDZ, you know, definitely go to his channel. The link to his channel will be in the description box below. So make sure y'all go show his channel some love. And voila, let's get into this reaction.
All right. Remember, we're more focused on the effect rather than the cause. It always comes back to vibrations. Sound waves are created by vibrations traveling across any object, including air. However, there's an even more powerful thing that can be done with sound. It's this neat thing called music. Okay, so just to refresh, the reason I give such an emphasis on vibrations is the definition of chi is that it is a vibrational energy that is constantly in motion.
Yeah.
Depending on the emotion, the speed of the emotion will determine its frequency. And that's how we get from chi to chakra. Because the chakras are showing, well, what does this energy look like at different frequencies? In the comments, someone mentioned, they were like, "Hey, it makes me think of Whitebeard's devil fruit, and that it acts like, and does it act like Haki? Like just, you know, referencing my vibration to Whitebeard's devil fruit." And I said, exactly, that's the whole point. You know, these characters, these main characters of the story, I don't think they just have powerful devil fruits. They also have devil fruits that are very relevant to the mystery of what ties Haki to devil fruits.
Yep. Yeah, I could. You know, I'm definitely starting to see the picture come together. You know, like I was just thinking. You know, I was just kind of thinking about like devil fruit abilities, and how, you know, I mean, when you was kind of talking about Apu and Whitebeard, it just really made me put those things together.
And this next chapter is all about that. Because
Yeah.
this next chapter, I'm going to talk about the Soul King and Queen,
Yeah.
Big Mom and Brooke.
Yeah. So, would you say like Haki affects things from like I can't even get it out.
I hear what you're saying. Molecular level.
The molecular level.
Yes.
I don't know how I could get.
Yeah. Chi is on a spectrum, and it goes basically from physical to spiritual or heavenly to earthly. So at the very bottom of the spectrum is the earthly chi. This is actually a great reason to explain why Rokushiki, which is a physical ability, can also be Haki. Because the physical world, under the understanding of Chi, is still spiritual in nature. That's sort of the whole goal of spirituality, is really understanding this concept called source, and that everything is spiritual. You know, like the breath of all things. So would Haki be molecular? Yes, because it's the matter itself. Everything is supposed to be under this umbrella or in the spectrum of chi. That's why I think we have the things, the breath of all things, or the voice of all things. This word, all things, has such relevance.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, I was just kind of going in my head about like different devil fruit abilities and how I guess Haki would kind of affect those abilities. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like how you said Apu, right? Like music, like the vibrations. It kind of works similar to Conquerors Haki, right? But then like let's say, I want to say
Jozu.
Yeah.
Jozu's an easy example because he literally
turns
on a molecular level changes.
Yeah, that's true. Is he a Logia? Would you consider that a Logia? Because or
he's
is he
just a paramecia.
Paramecia?
Maybe special paramecia, but as of right now, he's just considered paramecia.
Because I'll kind of look at like a diamond ability kind of being maybe Logia-ish. It doesn't have like the intangible factor that most Logias have, but I mean, Logi is really just what? They're like an element. Like they actually physically become an element, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, because that's kind of how Katakuri works as well. So I guess, yeah, it wouldn't make sense to be a Prometheus. Angel said no one knows how Michael Jackson used sound. No one know how to use sound the same way Michael Jackson used sound. I'm kind of confused where you going with that, but okay.
Well, we are going to talk about singers, so
okay.
there's going to be some relevance to that.
And then we got Adam in the building. Shout out to Adam. He says, love the sound of that Soul King and Queen. Who would be the Soul Queen, though? And that's the question.
The Queen of Totland?
The Princess Sherry?
No, a Big Mom.
Oh, I'm thinking the
Who would
Tantata.
be Brooke's wife?
I was thinking Tatata. I was
Yeah.
thinking the Queen of the Tantatas. I forgot Totland is Big Mom's thing. I was thinking Tantata's home.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Big Mom is the queen of so oh, I get what he's saying now. My bad. It took me a while because I was thinking I'm stupid. I was thinking Totland being the Tantata land, but Big Mom is the queen, and I guess Brooke is the king of Totland. I guess that's what Adam's trying to say. Angel said Big Mom is Soul Queen. Yeah, that is true. She is the Soul Queen. Yeah. I had a lapse in judgment. Guys, don't judge me. I had a brain fart just now. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, I'm ready. Continue right. Unless you got something else.
Nope. I'll let it play.
When we speak of vibration, we're actually calling your attention to the basis of your experience, for everything is actually vibrationally based. We could use the word energy interchangeably, and there are many other words in your vocabulary that accurately apply. Most understand the vibrational characteristics of sound. Sometimes when the deep, rich bass notes of your musical instruments are played loudly, you can even feel the vibrational nature of sound.
Music and spirituality are joined at the hip. Think about this. The word spirit means breath. Well, what is the process of breathing? You breathe in and out. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. It is a ripple. Breaths have a different wavelength, frequency, and rhythm. Breathing itself is a song, one that begins and ends with one's life. Have you ever heard of soul music? It's a specific genre, but really all music is soul music. The reason this genre is referred to as soul is because it puts a heavy emphasis on the singers, aka the human voice that creates the noise for the song. It's our voice that has the most soul in the music we create. When you really think about what singers do, it should help you understand why it is that Conquerors is the rawest form of Haki and why Haki itself is the element of the throat. Consider what this theory from the beginning has been about. We've been learning how the adjustment of one's frequencies will result in various performances. Well, guess what? Singers do that very thing. Just like how there is a spectrum for colors, chi, and chakra, the same applies to the human voice. We have a low pitch and a high pitch. Singers use keys that range from A to G.
Just pick up the telephone and call.
Did you figure out the scale of them keys?
No, it's a video.
Oh.
I grabbed it from a video.
Cause I can't, like I do music and I can't even figure out scales like just by hearing.
No way.
Just by hearing, I can't.
So, back when there was a time we were on a stream, it was me, you, and Bastien, and I told him I think he's so spot on with his conclusion that devil fruits are light, and that has to do with the electromagnetic spectrum. And then I told him there was one other thing he should look into, and that was sound. And if you notice, I constantly show this spectrum, and it shows the chakras. And I never really draw attention to this, but if you look, let's see, I can actually just go back to it, help everybody else, give you the visual medium, the human voice. If you look at this thing, it doesn't just say the chakras, they also numbers, and that's the frequencies.
Yeah.
But you can also see A, B, C. What is that? Sharp?
C sharp.
Yep. So C sharp, D sharp, E, F, and G. So it also has the notes there too.
Mm-hmm. It's
always been there. I just never really drawn attention to it. But sound plays a huge role. In fact, in Skypiea is one of the arcs that is probably vastly more important than people realize it. There's so much knowledge dumped into that arc that is probably, by the end of the series, people are going to look at Skypiea and realize there's just so many answers. I mean, even that one, what do the people call it? The theory, the biggest theory or something like that.
Oh, the
one O'Hara that told us about.
Yeah.
That theory was even about Skypiea. Like Skypiea, there's so much in Skypiea. People look back and they go, "Oh, there was a sun god reference there." Although there was also a sun god reference on Elbaf too. But yeah, there's just so much to look back at Skypiea and realize just how important that arc is. And one of the things was the bell. There was so much emphasis on that bell.
Mm-hmm.
And they even made it like a spiritual tie-in where it interacts with the souls of their ancestors, and it lets people like know. Joy Boy even made a theory about it. He was like, it makes a noise that people can hear so far away that it's truly impossible. Like, how could they hear it? Physically, yeah. It would be impossible to hear it. So there has to be like a spiritual component. So in One Piece, the whole concept of noise being tied to spirituality has been there for a long time. And there's no coincidence that Brook, the musician, also has a devil fruit that's all about his soul. Even just the concept of mantra.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about it earlier, but that was last chapter. Oh, and I'm probably going to talk about it again. But
yeah,
I'll just say it anyway. Mantra can be a form of a sound. And in Skypiea, they kept on referring to voice. This is before we even knew what Haki was. They, instead of saying Haki or the spirit of something, they would say voice. And a voice is a sound.
I was about to say Haki was first introduced in Skypiea too. Like you talked about the importance of Skypiea.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? That's wrong. I'm wrong. Haki, one character did reference Haki before Skypiea, and that was Blackbeard. He did make a comment about Haki. But it was just that one comment.
Well, yeah, you're right, because Zoro did like the whole Breath of All, that was in Alabasta, which was also
that wasn't called out by name Haki, but I do think that was definitely
it was kind
Haki.
It was kind of a idea or a concept, you know. Angel said no one make music as good as Michael Jackson is what I was trying to say before. I thought you meant like how he manipulates sound or something. I was confused. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yes, Conquerors Haki. All right, I'll continue now. Just wanted to highlight that. You can actually go on YouTube right now and find tunes for each chakra. Mantras aren't just things you can say, but can be incorporated in songs as well. These are known as seeds. So as you can see, these real-life examples support that there is a link between music and spiritual abilities. So now let's look at themes in the story that Oda is trying to convey. There is no better arc to look at than the ones where the Soul King and Queen got to show off their powers. In the Whole Cake Island arc, there was an occurring theme: food, which makes sense. Have you ever heard of soul food? Oops, I got a little ahead of myself. What I meant to reference was the music, the constant singing by Big Mom and her homies. It makes sense given that her powers are all about the soul. Speaking of music and souls, if we're gonna talk about Big Mom's powers, we might as well speak about Brooke as well. Now before I do that, I must clarify more about what I believe Conqueror's Haki to be. Okay, so it's a spiritual attack. Not a very good explanation because you could say the same about Armament. However, it is the similarities between Armament and Conquerors that'll help us understand the difference, and is a great reference point when it comes to understanding Conquerors. While Conquerors and Armament may seem to be of the same essence, they actually operate on different realms. Okay, allow me to explain. Armament is indeed a spiritual attack and defense, but it is physically manifested. It is taking spiritual energy and converting it into something that could exist on the physical realm. Where Conquerors differ is that it is a spiritual ability that remains on the spiritual realm, aka ethereal or astral. Conqueror's Haki is intangible, just like air, ether, spirit, prana, chi, voice, or sound. I don't believe that people that have access to use Conqueror's Haki have some sort of exclusive type of spirit. Rayleigh said it best. It is that the Conquerors are able to manipulate this form of Haki, or in other words, a level of frequency. Specializing in the throat chakra is a great way of saying you are very outspoken. You know, like Luffy. So we actually talked about this a few streams back, was like, are people born with Conqueror's Haki, or is it just the ability to use Conqueror's Haki?
Yeah.
And I just look at that, what Rayleigh said, as one, denouncing that it's simply you're born with it, and two, the way it's phrased. Granted, it's the Viz translation, but the way it's phrased is that it's a power that can be manipulated by these chosen few. So it's like it's already there, but not everybody can manipulate it.
Yeah. Kind of like the Force, right? Like the Force is around, is within everybody. Like from Star Wars, you know, the Force is in everybody, but only like Jedi and like, or they call it like being Force sensitive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you actually have the ability to manipulate.
Yeah.
So I could see what
the Force is like. It's not like in Dragon Ball Z where the energy's in their body and they charge up and all that stuff. For them, it's around and they're just interacting with it.
Yeah.
So I think I believe that actually there is a lot of relevance between the Force and Conqueror's Haki. I think with Conqueror's Haki, there's the inner and then there's the outer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the inner spirit and then there's the outer spirit around you. So like it's like when you look at the breath of all things, when Zoro's detecting or hearing the breath of all things, he never really comments on himself or his own breath. He's just talking about the breath of everything around him. But he himself also has breath. So there's the distinction. The breath of all things is usually from your own focal point of everything else. But there's also a thing called introspection, where you can look within yourself, which is a huge revelation for Understanding Haki finale, will be this concept of introspecting. I call one of these abilities self-observation Haki. The ability to basically, because observation Haki is external, you're detecting everything else outside of you. But I believe Haki can even be used to self-reflect, self-discovery, self-vision, really, just looking within yourself. And I think characters that really highlight this in particular are Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy. They're like the main three. And when it comes to Haki, they're like the main characters of Haki. Everybody else plays a role, but they're the ones we're really seeing their journey and how they go about things in different ways.
Okay.
I think there's a concept of sense of self that has to do with Haki and also devil fruits. And Sanji recently has been dealing with a sense of self issue. And once he was done with that finding himself, he actually got a power up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I might go into that a little bit later. Why is it that Sanji, it actually makes sense why it would be that Sanji, someone who's best at observation, could use observation to enhance his Ornament Haki. That's really where the direction of this theory goes, is this concept of combining the colors of Haki to create these newfound powers that are like devil fruits, or where devil fruits are born from.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
one more thing before I move on.
All right. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I want you to, if it's a comment about what I just said, because I'm about to say something completely different.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying. I don't want to stop what you're doing.
That's all good. When you think of mixing colors, red and blue, you get purple. But my idea of combining these colors of Haki is not just simply mixing them together, but really using them together. So it's like making artwork. When you look at the sound, right? If you take one sound and another sound, I mean, you could meet in the middle, but that's not what I think of when you think of these different frequencies coming together. It's more like a song. It's a collaboration of all these different frequencies. I mean, what kind of song has a bunch of different instruments and everything, and they all play the same note? Like, that'd be uncanny.
Yeah, it would just. Yeah, no, I get it. It's kind of like a, cause like I make music. I actually like produce, so I know like the point is to have each instrument like they're supposed to be within the same key, right? You have your scales, kind of like what you kind of showed, where you got like A, B, C, all the way up to about like G sharp, or like G sharp, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I gotta make sure I'm saying like G sharp. So pretty much when you make a musical piece, you have these different instruments all playing within the same scale, of course, because they have to be within the same frequency, more so to make sense, more so, right? It has to make sense,
because the same spectrum, like
yes. So, but you still have them still stand within that scale. You still kind of create different, like you create, like you got your chords, you got your melodies, and then you have counter melodies, which like you have a melody, but then you have a counter melody, which is a melody that usually sounds different, but it's used in conjunction with the main melody to give it a unique sound, right? And the chords as well. Like all of them are kind of put together, and then you have like each instrument working on different frequency, because you don't want them to be on the same frequency, because then they could just sound muddy, So
yeah.
It's just like this, you having a painting, and it, the colors that you add have to make sense to it, and you have things in different positions. Like you can't just draw, you can't like draw stuff and it be in the same spot, because then you don't really get you don't get a piece, I guess. You don't get like an art piece, What makes it is when you have like things placed certain places and different colors, but still the colors make sense to the overall painting, if that makes sense, But yeah, that's all I had to say.
Yeah, that's great insight.
Yeah. That probably wasn't the best explanation, but
No, it's exactly what it is. If you had a picture, as a painting of a field, and maybe there's a park, there's whatever. If you drew everything the same, or colored in every single thing, from the grass to the swing set to a car, all the same color, what would you even be looking at?
Yeah,
it'd be weird.
Yeah, and that's like, and that's a better explanation. Because in music, if you have everything in the same frequency, the sound will get muddy, and also you got to do things like panning, right, which is like left or right, like so you put certain instruments in the left. It's kind of like when you go watch a orchestra play, right? Like you might have the violins, you might have the string section over off to the left, the in the back, and you might have the bass somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? The trumpets might be in the front to the right or something. You know what I mean? It's just, positioning things, all those things. But I'm getting off topic, so let's bring it back.
Okay. I'll let it play. However, even if you aren't the best public speaker, it doesn't mean you can't speak. Everyone has their own voice. This is why I believe that while it may help, you don't have to have Conquerors Haki of your own in order to defend against others who may use it to harm you. Now, the manipulation of one's soul, doesn't that sound familiar? Oh yeah, that's exactly what Big Mom and Brooke's Devil Fruit powers do. In fact, they are the perfect examples to explain the difference between an armament attack and a Conqueror's attack.
Hey, hold on.
Remember how Luffy used armament to attack?
Can you pause it? Because you kind of said something that kind of was sticking with me, and I was thinking about it, and I didn't want to mess up. So, because you kind of say everybody has a voice, right? And kind of speaking on Conquerors Haki, right? Like one belief you say is that everybody has it. It's just only certain people can manipulate it, and that had me thinking. It would you maybe connect that with maybe the strength of somebody's will, right? Like everybody has Conquerors Haki, but it's just like their voice just isn't loud enough to be heard, right? Where somebody like Luffy, he has a loud voice.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it has to do with the strength of their will. I think it just has to do with personality. It just has to do, not everybody can be an outspoken leader. Like there's just not enough room. If everybody was an outspoken leader, then who are they leading? Everybody has their roles and everybody has their personalities and they have their strengths and their weaknesses. And sometimes you just got to play to your strengths. So you have people like Luffy who are so passionate and ambitious and loud and want to conquer the world. Then you have someone like Zoro. You see, Zoro doesn't use conquerors as much as Luffy. And I don't think he would even be able to use it to the proficiency of Luffy. See, the interesting thing about Zoro is he has Conquerors Haki, but Oda is Zoro, because Zoro's the GOAT, right? No. Oda showed us with these three characters, Sanji's observation, Luffy is Conquerors, and Zoro has Conquerors, but he's armament. Right? They have their affinity. So someone can have Conquerors and still not, their personality isn't like that of someone who's just really an outspoken leader. Zoro is very ambitious. He wants to be the king, basically a king of swordsmen, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the exact title, but it's basically like being the king of swordsmen.
Yeah.
So with that, it's understandable why he would have Conquerors Haki. But even then, I believe Zoro's application of Conquerors Haki, or like what he needs Conquerors Haki for his development of his sense of self and his abilities, is different from that of Luffy's.
Yeah. I just kind of look at it like, in order to have that, like a lofty ambition, like such as Pirate King or the world's greatest swordsman, and to actually have a chance to succeed at it, you have to have a pretty strong will, right? Like that's what I would think. You have to, like an abnormally strong will, and we know Luffy has a strong will. So, and when we look at like Haki, it's also looked at as your will as well. Mm-hmm. I think it was kind of looked at. So I'm thinking like I guess my interpretation of Conquerors Haki and why everybody doesn't have Conquerors Haki. Like everybody does have Conquerors Haki, but possibly they can't use it, right? I would think that maybe their will just isn't like strong enough to necessarily be able to manipulate their Conquerors Haki. Like it's almost like bending your will, right? Like I would look at like Luffy's bending his will to be able to bend other people's will. And in order to be able to bend other people's will, your will has to be strong enough to do so. You know, kind of like if we talk like look at other anime, like let's talk about Bleach because Bleach, you know, we know Bleach is returning, right? And they kind of have an ability similar to Conqueror's Haki, right? Like it's how they when they have like that pressure, like that
The soul pressure,
Retsu, yeah, soul pressure, the Retsu, like it almost like it almost like smothers someone's will or like their energy is smothering, you know. But it's only really strong characters that you see could do that. You know what I mean?
I think it's too complex to boil it down to just if they have willpower. I think there's a lot of people in the world of One Piece that are very ambitious. They do have a lot of willpower, but they don't have the exact personality type that they would be using Conqueror's Haki. And I actually do talk about this later on, but it's like some people are trying to go out there and be the king of the pirates, but some people, they might just have a hobby. Here's a great example. A hunt, if we were using other animes, let's talk about Hunter x Hunter. There's this character named Komugi.
The smoke one?
Right, and she's the girl.
Oh, no.
Komugi is a girl that plays that chess game, that made up game in the series that plays against the Ant King. Yeah. She only has one skill. And it's not something that's extravagant. It's not something that's world changing or anything. But it's her skill. It's the thing she loves the most. It's this thing she does the most. Now, if she was in the world of One Piece, there's no way she's going to be knocking people out with a Conqueror's Haki. But she's still very ambitious. She still gives her all to this game. She's so devoted to this game. It's like she does have willpower, but it's just not her journey, her life, her calling isn't to the same thing as someone like Luffy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what I'm saying, right? Well, like what I'm saying is it's not just having a strong will, I guess. Like I agree that personality does play a part. Like I definitely do. Cause I feel as though the personality is kind of what like it's like the gun, you know, and what I mean by it's the gun, it's what points, you know, to where maybe that's the bad example, I guess. But scratch that example because I kind of lost track of where I was going with that, right? But I guess what I was saying, the personality is like it's pointing where you use your so yeah, I think I do kind of remember where I'm going. It's pointing where you use your will, I guess. You know, and if you have if I guess your goal is a very big goal, right? And you have and I don't mean just a strong will. You have like a iron will, right? Like you pretty much has an iron will to whatever it is, like it unbendable. I guess that's what I mean. Where that's where you have Conqueror's Haki. It's if you have an unbendable, not just a strong will, but a pretty much unbreakable will.
Yeah,
you know. Because, like, there's a lot of characters with strong wills, but I think a lot of them has been able to bend their will a bit.
So that actually, like, kind of what you just said. I'm about to bring a counter to you, but at the same time, what you said was very enlightening, and there could be something to it. So it's not me actually just simply disagreeing. I'm actually going to then say, well, there's actually something to this. So, Unbreakable Will. If it was just Unbreakable Will, then you would look at all of the minks being able to use Conqueror's Haki, like Luffy and Zoro, because they already have that requirement. We've seen they have that Unbreakable Will. I mean, even just looking at like the scabbards and all they've gone through, you would expect like pretty much all of them except what's his name, the Faker, to basically have Conqueror's Haki in that way, but we don't see that. But so it's funny enough that you say that. I do think that does play a role. And two, one of the elements I believe of Conqueror's Haki is lightning. And all the minks do use lightning.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
Yeah. And you're right. I agree with what you said too, right? And that's part of why I agree with when you say personality, because I've also said personality. I believe personality matters as well. So I think personality is a another aspect of it, because it's like, I feel as though if you have an iron will but you don't really have any goal, Conquerors Haki really has no reason to bloom, right? So if you have a iron will and then you throw that with a goal, then I feel as though, you know, you're using your iron will to pretty much manifest a goal, and then that almost manifests Conquerors Haki as well, because it's like, you know, like if you just somebody with the iron will but you don't do nothing, like you're just chilling all the time and you just want peace, right? Like peace, having peace isn't or living a peaceful life isn't something that that requires a lot, right? It doesn't require a journey or anything. Yeah, it's not risky. You know, kind of like what you said with the girl, right? Like with the Mugi, or I forget her name, but Komugi. Yeah, she just likes playing chess, but it's like that's not something that, you know, like she's good at it, and you know, so I guess that's what I'm saying, right? Like, but I think somebody like her possibly could get Conquerors Haki, because it's like, as crazy as it sounds, if let's say her goal was if she was in One Piece and her goal was to be the greatest chess player, I don't know if Conquerors, like, it just might manifest a little different, right? Like, I think it could,
I like where you're going with
manifest
this.
differently. Like we see how we see Conquerors Haki, it manifests that way because most people that we see do it are fighters. You know what I'm saying? So what if somebody who, like, you know, who wants to be the greatest media personnel, like, right? Like, let's say Big News Morgan, for example. Like, maybe if he had Conquerors Haki, I'm not saying he does or anything, if he did, maybe it will work more in like the media sector. I don't know how it would bloom or how it would manifest.
I like it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like
I think
observation
you're right on point.
Haki, right? Observation Haki, it manifests differently. Like how Usopp was able to manifest it is a lot differently than we've seen Luffy manifest it. You know, but they're two vastly different fighters. You know, where Usopp is a sniper, so his observation Haki manifests to benefit him as a sniper, where Luffy, you know, it manifests differently.
Yeah, it's great you bring up Usopp too. That's gonna be relevant later in this video. So I do like where you're going with this. Yeah. It's what we know of Haki pretty much is to just be used in battle, but I believe we will learn later on through the series that Haki is more than just being used in battle. It goes back to this whole sense of self thing, where it's like it has to do with who you are as a person. You know, if you think of it just in battle, or if you think of power as just what you need for battle, then you would think Sanji should have kept on the raid suit.
Yeah.
But Sanji was like, you know, as much as I want to be powerful, as much as I want to do what's necessary for my captain, my crew, I still want to be true to myself.
Yeah.
He got rid of that power, and it birthed a new power. What you're saying about when you were like, I think you said nature or the personality is like a gun.
Yeah, like so, it kind of points.
Yeah, I like that. That's very similar to a saying. It goes, nature loads the gun and nurture pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
So this whole sense of self, I believe there's 3 sense of self chakras. Really, there's 7 because it's literally the chakras are supposed to make up who you are. But there's 3 where I think it's most important, and that is the solar plexus, your gut, the heart chakra, you know, your heart, and your throat chakra. And those 3 are tied to who you are as a person. It forms your personality. Your gut is basically your willpower, like your belief. Your heart is your personality, and then, or the color of your frequency. And then the throat is, well, that's how you speak up for yourself. That's how you tell people your truth. That's how you go out into the world and project to everybody who you are.
It's how you manifest things. You got to talk in order to Like they say, closed mouths don't get fed, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I believe that is Sanji's colors, the sense of self chakras. I believe it's heart, which makes sense because we know for a fact he hasn't finished her observation, but also the solar plexus, and we know he uses fire all the time. And then surprisingly, Conquerors, with the whole throat, his sense of the completing that sense of self, who he is. And as surprising as that is, he's not confirmed to have Conquerors. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Would it be too surprising? Look at Rox and Rogers. They have a whole bunch of Conquerors users on their team. But that's besides the point, because like I'm saying with this, Conquerors, I believe the power that is Conquerors, it's literally described as the embodiment of someone's spirit. Are we going to assume that only people as Conquerors Haki that has the spirit? Like, that doesn't even make sense. I feel like Rayleigh spells it out pretty simply. One, he never says you have to be born through it, and two, he just says you have to be manipulated. It's just the embodiment of spirit. So it's there. It's just we know these people who can more freely manipulate it. It's basically the people who are more extroverted, people who are more freely going out into the world and speaking their mind. Just to finish off the thing with the sense of self chakras, you can even see it in Ifrit Jambit. First of all, I think what Sanji does to activate this fire, we've seen back in Fishman Island. He actually thinks to himself. He takes a second, basically introspection, using what I believe to be another ability of observation besides external observation is internal observation. He literally looks through his own memories, hence why it's called held memories. So his activation of fire really comes from his own looking in deepward in himself. So that's how that plays a role. Then it's fire. That's obviously solar plexus. But if you notice, the Ifrit Jamba kind of has a little bit like a lightning on it. But it's different than like Conqueror's coding because that is black lightning. What he did was kind of like more of a white lightning.
You think it's something kind of like Avatar? I forget her name. She was the Fire Nation princess or whatever. She uses fire, but
exactly that. I think that what he's doing is more like what the Minks do. Is he's basically conjuring plasma. Because if you notice, Conqueror's Haki may have a lightning, that black lightning, but we know that's not actual lightning because it hurts Luffy. Kaido's hit him with so many Thunder Bagwas and Ragnarok, and it's always seems to have the full effect. And if it was actual lightning, it wouldn't matter to Luffy. But we know it's more just a representation of it, of the power itself, not actually lightning. But I think what Sanji's tapping into is plasma, which I believe is another example of that combination of things. Combination of these colors of Haki.
Let me check this chat out real quick. Angel said Achilles. I'm not sure what you mean Achilles. I think he commented that a while ago, so I kind of forgot. But he also said, by the way, Luffy's will has been broken, so it probably not unbreakable will, but I don't really know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like unbreakable, but even then he was still able to eventually rebound. It's not like he stayed broken forever. You know what I mean? And when I say unbroken, I'm not saying like a person can't like actually like can't be broken as possible. I just mean like he's never been deterred from his dream. And even when he kind of had bad moments, it's not like, he was still able to, bounce back, and that which is part of his personality and part of who he is. That ability to bounce back and keep trucking, like,
symbolic of a rubber man.
Yeah. So it was like, you could say it was damaged, but then again, he was able to bounce back. It was never like broken beyond repair, But yeah, I mean, a good point though. That was still a good point. I concede to that point. But yeah, and I think that's the thing about wills. It's a fluid thing, right? It's a fluid thing. I don't think, and that's why I believe that anybody. I don't want to say anybody could access it. You know, that's when I think the personality does matter, right? You know, because Luffy has the personality for Conquerors Haki, because, you know, his will may not always be strong or unbreakable, but his personality is so strong that he can always bounce back, you know. And that's why I low key think Usopp. I think anybody is capable of getting Conquerors Haki. It's just it's hard to cultivate a unbreakable will, and then you know, it's not something that just people could do on a whim, right? But somebody like Usopp, for example, though, like, I know he got that whole cowardly thing going on, but at the end of the day, he is very reliable when he needs to be, and despite the fear, he still goes through with it. You know what I mean? And we know that he has a goal to be a brave pirate of the sea, or a brave warrior of the sea. And for somebody who's naturally kind of cowardly, that is a very lofty goal. You know, like I said before, that's probably even a bigger lofty goal than Luffy wanting to be Pirate King, but because at least Luffy kind of has a personality and a will that's congruent with such things to achieve it, right? Usopp, on the other hand, it's like he has to become that, right? He has to train. He has to go almost outside of himself in order to succeed in such a thing, goal, I guess, you know. And I believe that part of him, I think that right there, the fact that he has to almost, it's like he has to go through a metamorphosis, you know. He has to become that person. He has to create that personality almost, you know. He has to create that unbendable will, you know.
Well, self-observation hockey would help with that.
Yeah. Angel also said, do you think Luffy would be able to bounce back without Jinbei? Not disrespect, just curious on your opinion. I think he could, you know. I think he could if he would have had
he needed somebody's help. I don't know if it has to necessarily be Jinbei, but by himself, if he was just by himself, I don't know. I don't think he would be the same.
Yeah.
Until he maybe came to an opportunity to then bounce back.
Yeah.
I think with Jinbei there, it kind of made the process more immediate.
And that's what I was going to say. I think it would have took longer, because I believe what turned Luffy around was the people around him. Because you got to understand, Luffy works off of a lot of what affects his personality are the people around him, right? So if, like, I think the only thing that could really break Luffy for good is if he lost all his friends, which he thought he did, right? He thought he lost all his friends, and then he thought he lost Ace, you know. And then Jinbei had to remind him, like, look, remember what you still have. And then him remembering that, I think that's what brought him back, was remembering he had his friends, and Jinbei just had to be there to remind him of that. You know, and look, I'm not saying, you know, I forgot where I was going with that. So, if you got something to say about that,
no, not necessarily. So we're about to go in with this part. Was what is the difference between Armament and Conquerors? They're both spiritual abilities, but clearly they're different. You know, if they weren't different, they would just be considered different on levels of each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's look into that. Prometheus, it had no effect. Why so?
You stop it. You stop it, or you ELiDZ, I don't know if
examples to explain.
You still there, ELiDZ? You.
Sorry about that.
I hear you now. Yeah, I didn't know if you stopped it because it started like going different. Like it was fast forwarding or something. So I don't know if that was on my end or what.
I wanted to find a good place to stop because where I paused was in the middle of a sentence. I don't want to confuse anybody.
Okay.
But yes, so what we're about to go over is the difference between Ornament and Conquerors. Because that's a very important distinction. And this is especially shown with the way Big Mom's homies were. And the fact that even though they're Dove Fruit abilities, they don't get hurt by Ornament. And why is that? It was never truly explained, but I think I have the answer.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. The difference between an Ornament attack and a Conqueror's attack. Remember how Luffy used Ornament to attack Prometheus? It had no effect. Why so? Shouldn't Ornament always work even to those that are like Ace, who is also like a living flame? The reason is because that like Ornament Haki, a Logia's body may be supernatural or spiritual, but the person still exists on the physical realm. However, Prometheus exists on the ethereal realm. You might say that doesn't make sense. Fire does indeed exist within the physical realm. That much is true, but Prometheus isn't made of fire. He's actually a spirit inhabiting a flame. A soul fragment to be more specific. Not only that, but Haki isn't meant to touch elements. It's meant to touch the physical being that assumes elemental form. Think about it. Someone like Crocodile or Aokiji already are solid objects. Sand and ice are both physical solid objects. Touching them is never the problem. It's the fact that you can't hurt them. If Luffy were to use Haki to punch a regular flame, his hand would go right through. When Ace gets punched by Haki and gets hurt, that is because he is a person that originates in the physical realm as a tangible body.
You said something right there, like when you brought up Crocodile and Aokiji. I forgot who I was talking to. I think it might have been Angel. I can't remember, but we was talking about I guess well, I can't remember. We was talking about like what affects Logias, right? And we was talking about how like because he said something about a cut of being able to affect Logias, because you know when there was a part where I guess Zoro tried to slash a nail and he kind of like turned into electric, and I was just he was saying like that cut affected a nail, and I'm like, I don't think it affected him. It's just I think a nail personally just phased through the sword and was just toying with him. And then he kind of used like Crocodile and Aokiji as examples of like being able to affect a Logia without Haki, right? And I was kind of saying, well, they're more physical elements than something like a nail. I think that's why he brought up a nail, because I've told him about like Aokiji and Crocodile, but he was like, oh yeah, well, a nail is like energy. So it just kind of made me think of that. That's why I brought it up. I think you might be muted.
I'm not sure why that keeps happening, but yeah, I think it has to do with however Oda portrayed it. If he portrayed it as like there's a cause and effect, if it showed like a sound effect or anything like that, and it visually you see, then I guess you really can just take it as it did have an effect on a nail. Obviously, it didn't hurt him, but had some kind of effect.
Yeah.
Maybe him being like electricity, but coming into contact with air.
Yeah, that's what I was pretty much saying.
Something like that caused a change. We have seen with like Kizaru, if he gets shot by a bullet,
yeah,
it just goes right through him. So it's just the varying degrees. If
I think
you were to get shot by a bullet, he would crack.
Yeah, I think that's where that. Yeah, now, yeah, you reminded me. That's where the argument started, because I was talking about Apu and how he was able to actually affect Kizaru with his ability, right? And I was saying how, yeah. So that was pretty much the basis of the argument. Like Apu's ability works differently than just a normal physical attack. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I was going, and I guess he was saying like, you know, like like sword attacks or cuts also are effective against Logia. And one example we used was Crocodile, and another one was Aokiji. And I was like, well, they're more physical Logias, so I could see them being affected physically. And then that's when he pulled up Enel, and it was a panel where Zoro tried to like pretty much cut Enel, but then Enel kind of like turned into electric as he was trying to cut. And I'm thinking that was more of Enel just kind of phasing through the attack, toying with Zoro, and less of Zoro actually really doing anything. But again, electric and metal, metal does indeed affect electric. So, that was kind of my explanation right there. He says I use Akainu and Crocodile. No.
Yeah, I agree. There's an effect. When I look at Logi as compared to Prometheus, the best example is Ace, because he's also made out of fire. They're really coming from two different ends of the spectrum. It's like Ace is a physical, tangible person that becomes fire.
Yeah.
And if you were to hit him with water, it would affect him. It may not exactly hurt him, but it will affect him because he's made out of fire. Same thing with Crocodile. It's not like when they made Crocodile wet, that he was getting hurt by the water. It was, they made him tangible and then he got hurt. So now we look at Prometheus. Again, you could put water on Prometheus, but I don't think Prometheus is actually getting hurt. It's more just you're messing with his fire. You're messing with his body. Even though it's coming from a different end of the spectrum, he's a ghost now becoming fire. It's still the fire itself is, you can say the fire is being harmed, but not Prometheus.
Yeah.
It's just, messing. It's like a vehicle. It's his vessel. It's just messing up his vessel.
Yeah. It makes sense. Like he's just a flame with a spirit, but his, I can see, because it's different. It's different than like a human's body, right? Like we're kind of like uniquely intertwined with our bodies, where Prometheus is just a spirit put into a flame.
So this actually is kind of proven to be true, because I was just working with what I had back then, but it was pretty solid evidence. But I think this is more without a shadow of a doubt now because of what we've seen happen to Zeus. His identity is not being a cloud; it's the spirit, and that's why we get to see him be put into Nami's climate attack.
Yeah. Angel said I used Akainu and the Crocodile. I also use Ace because his flames change direction when shot at. I think that's kind of an aspect of wind. I think like with Enel, I think that's metal affecting like electricity, or Enel was playing with him personally. And I think with someone like Ace, like it's like if you try to blow at a flame, the flame's going to move, right? Because flames are very lucid and they move with movement almost. Like if I do this to a flame, like move my hand around the flame's going to kind of react to the air moving around, right? Whereas I think what makes I think Apu and Kizaru's that situation is a lot different though, right? I think that's a little different because he was actually able to move Kizaru's top half off his bottom half. It wasn't just like Kizaru's light kind of fluttered or anything. He was actually able to separate Kizaru's body in two. You know what I mean? And light is a lot different than a lot of other elements. Like you can't really physically interact with light. Well, you could kind of like block the light and create a shadow, but you can't really like physically do anything to light. Like you could do something with electricity. You could conduct electricity. You can blow flames.
Yeah.
Light is a little differently, So to be able to actually affect light is, and I don't mean just kind of like blocking the light to where you create a shadow. I mean actually physically affect light is a little different than
If the only point Angel's Room is trying to make is that Logias can be affected, well, specific Logias can be affected by these things, like a sword or bullet or whatever, then it's like, yeah. But if it's the situation that it's because they're swords or because they're bullets that they're affected, well, then I don't think that's the case. It's just things interacting. If Ace is made of fire and he gets shot by a bullet, it's like you say, like there's wind traveling with it. So it makes sense why it causes that effect.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. But
it has to be a rhyme or reason, I think, to the effect.
Yeah.
Besides just, they're being attacked.
Yeah.
I don't think Zoro would approach Prometheus and try to cut him in half unless he had the ability, or unless he copied Kinemon's ability to actually cut fire.
Yeah. Makes sense. He said, we've seen Enel get attacked with metal and not be hurt. Again, I personally think that I think that was me personally. I think that was Enel just phasing through Zoro's attack.
There's being hurt and affected.
But
when was Ace hurt by those bullets that shot him? No. Was he affected by the bullets that shot him? Yeah.
But then it would be like, was Kizaru hurt?
Well, that depends on like which you're referring to, but Logias don't get hurt by non-Haki attacks or non-weaknesses. Was he hurt by Apu? I mean,
no, I don't think he was hurt.
Maybe in a sense of like it affected him, and it was like, but that only did 0.01% of my health bar.
Yeah, true.
I look at it more like he tanked the attack. He's just he's just that durable.
Yeah, and that's kind of how
an admiral to just brush off attack from a rookie.
That's kind of how I look at it. I look at it like, I believe that attack actually affected like Kizaru in like a way, not like how we've seen other ways where, where Kizaru gets shot by the bullet, because you could technically say the bullet kind of affected him as well. Like it disrupted, but it wasn't the same as what Apu did, But yeah, I'm ready whenever you were ready, though. You there? I think he walked away, y'all. You said sorry, affected is a better word. Okay, I mean, but yeah, I mean, like, again, I personally think Enel was playing with Zoro, because I didn't look at that situation and think like Zoro had any control over anything. Like Enel was just kind of toying with him, and if like how we kind of see Logias, they go in and out of phasing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was just him going in and out, like him just phasing in and out of his body the way he did. And I believe if he wanted to, he could have just sat there and just kind of the sword would have phased right through him. But I don't know. It's one thing from what happened and what could have happened. So, but yeah, you ready?
I don't think he had a chance at doing anything to Enel without Haki. Yeah. But the breath of all things was a moment in which he used Haki, but I don't think he used Haki in the way you typically think someone would use it against a dove fruit user, where it's just to bypass their weakness. I think what he did was really more related to steel, because if it was just him cutting him and ignoring his dove fruit ability, then that kind of takes away from what Zoro did, because in his mind, and what we're supposed to take away is that he could cut steel, and that's amazing. Yeah. And I think that is really what he did. and it has less to do with ignoring the devil fruit and more to do with why it is haki can allow you to cut steel or allow you to not cut a piece of leaf or paper, or why Kinemon can cut fire. It's about the frequencies.
Yeah.
It's if you can match that frequency, then you can actually cut it with your sword. Which is why I believe Zoro, even though his strength is armament, observation is very crucial, and introspection, I think, is very crucial to Zoro and his abilities.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious, right? I'm kind of curious as to what, I guess, as to what sword Zoro tried to cut Enel with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cause I think at that point he had a cursed sword, right? Was it? Is it Katetsu?
Yeah, he would have had a cursed sword, but I don't think he used the cursed sword.
Yeah, cause I will go far as to say if it was a cursed sword, you know, like cursed swords are kind of like, you know, they have their wills, and we talk about how Haki is will related.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I believe he actually used the Wado Ichimonji.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is not a cursed sword, but still a named sword. And I believe cursed swords are, and there's be a little bit of talks of cursed swords later in this video, but I believe cursed swords are ones that more overtly show that they have a will. But I believe all the named swords really have a will of their own. But it's basically like what we're saying with the people in Conquerors Haki. They just have different personalities.
Yeah. But do you believe that cursed swords could have effect on like Logia users possibly? You know, just because, you know, possibly because we talk about how Haki could be related to like devil fruits and cursed swords and everything. So maybe, you
I don't
know,
think it would have a standout effectiveness on Logia users. Like if any sword would have that effect, it would definitely be Black Blades, and we see that they don't. So I don't think cursed swords would have like a special effect. I think the what effect cursed swords have really is the relationship between the sword and the swordsman.
I would think though. I would think just because I would think that the will of the sword could possibly affect, you know what I'm saying, like kind of disrupt maybe a Logia possibly. But I don't know. You know, that's just kind of a
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
yeah.
Okay. So now what we're seeing, I'm gonna go into why it is Armament Haki doesn't hurt Prometheus, but Brooke, who is a stand-in for Conquerors Haki in this situation, would be able to hurt Prometheus. On the contrary, even if Luffy's punch were to ignore Fire's intangible state like it does for Ace, punching Prometheus still wouldn't work because it's no different than punching a ghost. Speaking of ghosts, Brooke may seem like a skeleton, but he is in fact a spirit inhabiting those bones. To further show evidence that his spiritual powers are linked to throat chakra, let's talk about how he even discovered he could become a phantom. Note that Brooke's soul kind of looks like a cloud, right?
Yeah.
And one of the definitions of ether, which is, you know, the
breath of the gods
element of the throat chakra, is it's related to the breath of the gods. It's simply just the sky.
Yeah.
Because that's where they believe the gods lived, was the sky. So another definition for ether is more simply just the sky. The sky is ether. So the fact the clouds, soul, ether, that's just more dots I connected, but I didn't mention it in this video.
You know something, you just can't kind of like have me thinking, right, about Brooke, right? Like how you said he's a soul inhabiting the bones, right? And we know that Brooke can leave his skeleton body, right?
Yep.
So what's to say like his next power up not like being something along the line as being able to inhabit other bodies, like possible
That
other
would be something.
dead bodies or maybe objects, possibly. Almost like he
Mm-hmm.
works as a, like, let's say it's almost like him working as an independent homie almost, you know, because him and Big Mom's Devil Fruit are similar, right? Where it's like Big
Yep.
Mom's Devil Fruit, it manipulates soul, as where Brooks' Devil Fruit is, he's pretty much a soul that can inhabit, that's inhabiting bones, right? So, yeah, like what if he, you know, I think that would be a dope power up. Like, let's say if he could manipulate other, like, corpses, right? And or even multiple corpses. Like, if he gets to a point where he could manipulate multiple corpses, like he could give a piece of his soul to these corpse, you know. Yeah, I think that would be a dope power up for Brooke.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be a ability of someone who has that devil fruit. Maybe not as much Brooke, just if I factor in his personality, because typically the protagonists a lot of the times don't have abilities that can take over other people, especially in One Piece when a big theme is about freedom.
Yeah.
And Big Mom's Devil Fruit, if Brooke kind of follows the same rules, can't. Yeah. Brooke's Devil Fruit, I mean, Big Mom's Devil Fruit can't inhabit people that are alive. Yeah. But I think if something more along Brooke's Devil Fruit could be something that's actually kind of hinted at with Apu, which Apu, for some reason or another, is kind of like the leader of the numbers.
Yeah.
Almost like, you know, he can inspire them to do things. It's never really been elaborated why. But maybe with Brooks' music, he could actually inspire people to do things. Which, actually, that's something we already know he can do that. So he can kind of take it to the next level.
I was actually waiting for a chance to say that he actually does control people. Like, we've seen him manipulate people with his music, you know. So I think, you know, a power up like that is definitely not outside of the realm. I mean, he already kind of have ability with his music to control people, you know, so which could be kind of like a Conquerors Haki thing for him, right?
Yeah.
Since his and I don't think it's necessarily the music that he's controlling them. I think he's actually controlling their soul with, you know, because he calls it soul music. So yeah, so he's actually already controlling them.
Yeah. And like I said, I think the throat is definitely tied to sense of self.
So, but
I think so.
But the question is Brooke using music as a medium to pretty much have his soul take over other people's soul?
So that is what I believe to be what Conquerors Haki is. It's not even so much taking over, it's projecting, right? In fact, what we have on screen right now is the external, which is the throat chakra, and then the internal, which is the crown chakra. These are the two chakras linked to Conquerors Haki. And the external is about projection. It's your voice. It's your speaking out. I believe it's sort of you're affecting other people's soul. You're influencing other people's stroke. There's even like a magnetic quality to it, where you can attract people to you. Or you can even repel people away, make them leave.
Yeah.
So I believe that's probably what's also not just Conquerors Haki, but factor into Brooks' Devil Fruit, you know, the Soul King.
Yeah. Angel said Brooke will be able to see dead people's soul.
That'll be awesome.
I'm pretty sure Big Mom probably can. Since she will take your soul and kill you and then still use it.
That would be terrifying if at all times she's just seeing her dead friends, the orphans.
Oh, yeah. True.
That'd be so sick. But I doubt it. All right.
I'm ready.
Recall when I said throat chakra is the external vibration, aka verbal. Well, in order for Brooke to become a ghost that first time, he said, "I'm going ghost!" Okay, no. Actually, what he said was a prayer. Case in point, just like with Conquerors Haki, he activated his spirit with his throat chakra. And just like the spirit of a homie, Brook's true body originates in the ethereal realm, hence why he would be able to harm Prometheus. If you want an even more in-depth explanation, check out my secret ending in which I use a graph to help me explain. Moving on, I believe that Brook and Big Mom's power are essentially Conquerors Haki being used with extra effects. In fact, given that Haki is all about the spirit, it should be no surprise that the Soul Devil Fruit could possibly have that side effect. Just look at her life or death move. It's practically a more advanced and elaborate version of standard Conquerors. It's an intimidation move that can be used to spiritually damage a person. So much so that it can even cause death. And also, just like Conquerors, it can have no effect on a person if they have a strong enough will to not be intimidated. One might chalk it up to Lin herself being the one that has Conquerors Haki, and she could be just combining it with her Devil Fruit. However, I can see many of you calling outright BS on Brook having Conquerors Haki. I know it may seem outlandish, but I have plenty of evidence. First, remember throat chakra's element is sound, by extension, soul, and Haki. Everyone has a voice inside of them. All it would take is a way for someone to be granted the ability to manipulate and exert that voice, aka soul. Perhaps that could be done with the help of the Devil Fruit centered around that very power. And let's not forget his epithet, Soul King. Then consider that Conquerors Haki is basically kingly spirit. I mean, come on, Haoshoku no Haki and Soru Kingu are practically synonymous. Now, I wouldn't be as ridiculous as to bring this up just off names alone. As I said, Conquerors Haki is a spiritual attack. It is intangible, can be described as a sound or scream. Also, it can be used to break the will of weaker souls. If that doesn't accurately describe Brook's ability, then I don't know what does.
Baby. Soul King, baby. Susanoo Brook.
He literally says will not be able to stand on their feet, and that's exactly what Jozu said about Conquerors Haki in reference to.
And then he just
Shanks.
You just paused it. Like if you read what you just paused, it said, "When they face my serious shout of the soul."
I mean, it's right in our face.
Kind of like the throat.
Exactly.
You know.
I mean, Oda he really is spelling it out. Like can it be just that crazy of coincidence that it just so happens to have the same effects, really? And you look at Big Mom's though, it's the same thing because her ability to rob people of their souls, has to do with whether or not they have a strong will, they have strong convictions.
Brook beating Big Mom confirmed. Man, yeah, that's an interesting. Baby.
With all that being said, what is the big deal about Conquerors Haki? I guess it's cool that it can cause frequencies powerful enough to hurt the soul and possibly even do some damage to physical environment. But, I mean, is that really all that cool compared to being able to create fire or see into the future? Even hardening and basic observation is just as useful, if not more useful, most of the time. There has to be more to Conquerors for it to be such a feared power.
Yeah.
I believe the answer lies once again with the Soul King. You see, Brook doesn't just scream to use the element of sound, he also sings and plays instruments to create music. Yep, even his music is Conquerors Haki. I believe music to be a more refined spiritual power than just yelling. If he's a good king, he's going to want to encourage those under him to be their best selves. Is it possible that Luffy has been using this power to inspire those around him? This may be the power Mihawk referred to. There is another musical ability that Brook has that actually leads us into the last chakra. So let's finally get into explaining the highest chakra of them all, the crown.
Well, because Brooke is wearing a crown. As you pause, I think you're muted too.
All right, should be on now. I think that Conqueror's Haki is, like I said, more than just about breaking wills. It could also like raise other people's fears. It could be used as a way of like making people.
Oh, are you implying Bello Betty?
Well, that devil fruit, I believe, is like the essence of that. Whoever, because my theory is that devil fruits are other people who actually attained enlightenment. So I think whoever had that power was someone who like honed in and focused on specifically that aspect of Conqueror's Haki. Just raising other people's will. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you look at that scene, it was fast, but I showed panels from Dressrosa when King Riku's talking on the intercom. Like his speech inspired people, and it made that old lady like start sprinting.
Yeah.
It kind of like invigorated, empowered people.
You know who else inspires people and empowers people?
Who?
Usopp.
Yes, definitely.
Usopp, man. Let's not act like Usopp ain't the reason behind the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. That's some Conqueror stuff right there. He pretty much almost got the same ability as Luffy of winning people over. Except he's done it at like a larger, well, nah.
Yeah, because he's not just a king, he's a god.
Yeah, facts. What's a king to a god? What's the pirate king to God Usopp, right?
Yeah.
And he is also a king. He's a sniper king too. So,
yep.
Man, Usopp just screaming green flags for Conqueror's Haki. I'm just saying.
Well, you're gonna be pleased to hear what I have to say in this next chapter.
All right, let's go.
The most potent form of energy, by the way, is thought. It penetrates all space and all time. Every thought has a frequency. We can measure a thought. What most people don't understand is a thought has a biochemical and bioelectrical property. Every thought, which means it has a frequency. And so if you're thinking that thought over and over and over again, or if you're imagining in your mind, okay, having that brand new car, having the money that you need, building that company, finding your soulmate, if you imagine what that looks like, you're emitting that frequency on a consistent basis.
Angel said, what's a god to a non-believer? A guide? I mean, come on now. It's like you ain't got to believe in the president, but he's still the president, and you're muted, ELiDZ.
Thank you. I think he's referencing that Watch the Throne song.
Yeah, I know. That like Jay-Z said that in a song too. I know the quote he's referencing.
I like that visual they used in that documentary or whatever that was. I don't even know what I put in my video.
Yeah.
Where it showed sort of like that pulse.
Yeah.
Emanating off that woman. It very much looked like Conqueror's Haki. And the fact that it covered the globe, it makes me think of specifically when the Gorosei said that the gum fruit, or what we now know is the Hito no Baronika, has been eluding them all this time. Like, what if it has this highest frequency, the crown chakra of Haki, and it has the ability to like emit signals out that subconsciously affect people and make them do things that they don't realize that they're actually trying to do.
Yeah, and it kind of made me think, like, is Conqueror's Haki really just a manifestation power, right? Like, is it like Luffy thinking like, is it him thinking like when he see a bunch of fodder characters trying to attack him, is it him thinking like, hey, get out my way, or like be gone or something, and then they knock out and get out of his way, right? Which kind of like going back to what we talked about earlier. Like, what if someone has Conquerors Haki who's not necessarily a fighter, right?
Yeah.
How would it manifest? You know, like, you know, would it be like,
what if, let's say, they really like making swords? How could it manifest?
Or let's say Sanji, right? Like, let's say Sanji's Conquerors Haki might manifest in a way of creating great food, being able to pretty much take any food and like just taking an idea, right? Like, he has this idea of a meal, and then he just brings it to life, you know, because it almost seems like Sanji could pretty much create anything, right? So,
I mean, that's kind of how he made the wedding cake. You know, it's just like, he's like, I can make this. You know, he didn't have the recipe, but he made it himself, and it was something Big Mom absolutely loved.
Yeah, exactly. And he used his nose. He almost like used observation Haki to tell which, like which ingredients, you know.
Exactly.
Angel said, if you don't believe in God, the title really means nothing to you, aka Zoro. Achilles be gone thought is what he's thinking.
I think he's talking about Luffy. He uses Conquerors Haki.
Yeah. So are you saying God Usopp doesn't exist? Is that what you're saying?
I think if he's on Zoro's left side, he doesn't exist, or wherever his eyes cut. All right. Let's start with the last chapter.
I think it's the left. But yeah, go ahead.
Remember when I said third eye deals with the mind? It might lead you to believe that chakra is centered in the brain, but it is between the eyebrows. It is the crown chakra that is located in the brain, in the physical sense, but in the spiritual sense, it's sort of on top of your head, you know, like an actual crown or a halo. However, calling it the mind would be underselling it. It's more like your reality. It is everything that you've been building up to through all the chakras. The associating element is thought, the most powerful of all elements. What is a voice without a thought? Remember Qi? It's not just an essence, but a 5,000-year Chinese philosophy. We haven't talked about it in detail for a while since introducing chakra into this theory. Well, actually, we've been talking about it this whole time. Quick reminder, chakra is made of prana, and Qi is the same as prana. Basically, the concepts are explained differently, but are actually the same. Different paths to the same truth. The way the levels of frequency are explained for Qi is considerably different. However, can be related to Haki. For example, in part 2 I talked about how Rokushiki and Gear 4th display abilities that could be represented by root chakra. In another video I explained Rokushiki again, but instead I use Qi's levels of frequency instead of chakra. I'm not going to make a separate video like that for all the different frequencies of Qi, but just know it can be done. In fact, maybe somebody watching this video wants to take on that challenge. Let me know and I'll help you in any way I can. With all that said, let's read the highest frequency of Qi and see if it relates to Haki. Spirituality as divine light. At this level, Qi energetically manifests through subtle vibrations which contain messages, i.e., thoughts and feelings resonating within specific objects' energetic field. Taoist priests teach that these energetic messages extend through infinite space to the Tao. As you see, whether it be Qi or prana, the highest frequency, aka the most divine element of all, is thought. What is the number one importance of an
And you're oh yeah, I was about
I'm gonna press play or pause it mutes my mic. That's weird. Anyway, so it's like you were saying with Luffy thing, it's like, you know, what if it's like he's thinking it into this, he just thinks. That is an aspect of Conquerors Haki, I believe, to be true.
Yeah.
The Tao or the messages, the fact that there's this idea of just information or data along with in the spiritual, you know, the spiritual realm, I think can relate to devil fruits in a way, in just the fact that they have these names that are sort of inherently there in one way or another. You know, like I said, or the last stream, it was like with Kinemon, like he doesn't know the name of his devil fruits yet he still says Garp Garp Jutsu, and he just so happens to have the Garp Garp fruit. I said garb. I meant garb.
Yeah.
As in clothing.
No, I know what you
Garb
meant.
fruit.
I know what you meant.
So information exists. In fact, when I think of devil fruits, it's almost like you automatically get a frequency that you don't have to use yourself. Apu and Brook don't have to have conquerors, or they don't have to have the access to manipulate conquerors haki like Luffy. But because of the devil fruit, it's almost like a code. It's like they just downloaded some software. It's like they just access that information in their body to be capable of automatically being able to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the power of thought is actually, it may not be like fire where it's immediate and destroys something, but it's a very powerful thing.
Yeah. Man, I was gonna go somewhere with I was thinking, like, what if Luffy always had Conqueror's Haki? Like what if it was already bloomed as a child? Cause I think about like Luffy gaining the Gummo Gummo no Mi, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know what we know from the Gummo Gummo no Mi, or the real name of it, the Hito Hito no Mi Madonika. We know that it has a very strong will, obviously, right? It's been able to evade the world government for 800 years, and we know that Shanks took it from the world government, and then somehow it ended up to Luffy, right? So could that be maybe the devil fruit manifesting its will? Like maybe when it called out the Shanks initially and then eventually manifests, I guess, the fate of landing in Luffy's, I guess, possession? Or could it be like Luffy maybe unknowingly manifesting his fate and attracting the devil fruit? You know what I'm saying? And is all this,
maybe it was both of them.
Yeah.
Like that magnetic feature I said. Maybe they were both attracted to each other.
And could that be like a thing with Conqueror's Haki? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's to say devil fruits couldn't, because we know that devil fruits have will, especially like zone devil fruits. And if you have a will, I would think that you could possibly have access to Haki as well. So
yeah. So we were talking about, when was the first display of Haki? Was it Skypiea with Mantra? Well, Blackbeard actually called out Haki by name. But then you look at the Breath of All Things. That was way earlier. But there's another instance. When Zoro was shopping for a new sword, the whole reason he even got the cursed sword, the Sandai Kitetsu, was because he felt its aura. He felt that there was something special about the sword.
Yeah.
And what if that's similar to the devil fruit? What if these things that have this will are able to access this frequency that can trigger things in other people? So maybe not necessarily Zoro or Kid Luffy had access to that Haki, but this thought frequency can almost trigger it in people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Similar to kind of what I was saying at the end of that previous chapter, was how Brook's power could possibly affect other people, or conquerors in general can affect other people. Yeah. That's really what the power is. When you think about it, armament is about just like, it's using it as a weapon. Observation is using it as a tool, a radar. Conquerors really is about affecting other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think they're all under, like, all the 3 levels of Haki are all under the same umbrella. It's just what's their function, right? It's about the function.
That's the spectrum.
Where armament is more of a defense and offensive type thing. It's more for physical fighting. Observation, a little more versatile. You could use it in fighting as well, but it's more kind of like that radar, like you said. It's more of a sense, not a sense, but more of a. I can't think of the word right now. It's a way to kind of like see things almost. You know what I'm saying? Like see things with like a third eye almost. You know, where armament is more just straight physical fighting, and then like you said with Conquerors Haki, it's like that thought and that manifestation thing. Like, I mean, I kind of forgot what you said, but yeah, you know. Let me read these chats real quick. Angel said Usopp will die so he can complete. He's going to be a dying a brave warrior of the sea. I mean, I kind of said that before. I believe Usopp might potentially die, because it's like if you die, like what better honor, huh?
I said everybody's gonna die one day.
Yeah. But I feel as though Usopp dying would cement it with, like, because when you look at great warriors, they usually die, right? They usually die in some grand fashion. With Usopp, if he dies in some grand fashion, I think right there just kind of he succeeds, even though he had to die to succeed. You know what I mean? You know, and with Usopp at this point, we didn't really see a lot of actual progression in his becoming a brave warrior. You know, like, he has gotten a little braver, but he still kind of got that cowardly thing. So I think the best thing Oda could do is probably just let Usopp die in some super brave fashion, you know. And Angel's Room said the Blackbeard saying Haki and Jai depends on translation, because I don't it said in the anime sub or Viz translation.
Yeah. Because a lot of what we take in anime as concepts, a lot of times the translators have to know the intention of what the author wants, right? So, for example, Rasengan. With English, we call it Rasengan. We call it by its Japanese name. We don't call it swirling ball or whatever, because that'd be weird. And they actually had this era around that time. Mantra used to be called Mantora, because that's how it is spelled out, like when you romanize the kanji that is in Japanese, they have it Mantora. But that's not what Oda was going for. He wanted it to be mantra. You know, they just don't, phonetically, they can't have it be mantra in their language. It's just not possible. So once he explained it to them, and the same thing with Haki, it's like once they explain it, like, hey, this is what I'm going for, then they correctly put it in our translations at the correct thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
Omnipotent and omniscient God, it is the power to create and know anything and everything. That is a power that would not exist without thought coming first. Not only that, but a God can grant other things the ability to think and have their own free will. A God can even lead, guide, and manipulate others with their messages, aka their voice. Apply thought to sound or any frequency and you can create. Creation, craftsmanship, artistry, innovations, and the passion for a new life or world is the product of Crown Chakra. Let's look at Big Mom. She is able to crush the will of others and even rob them of their souls. Just some typical soul manipulation, like I said Conquerors Haki should be. However, if I'm correct about her powers being similar to that which you'd expect from Conquerors Haki being taken to the next level and mastered, then that would be great news for me. Because if you aren't aware, I have a cursed sword theory in which I talk about how I believe cursed blades aren't actually cursed, but rather given a consciousness by Haki. Now, we already know black blades are the product of Ornament Haki. It makes the blade tougher, exactly what you'd expect from hardening. However, cursed blades don't look different. I believe it is filled with an intangible spirit, you know, like Conquerors Haki. Something about giving an inanimate object a consciousness sounds familiar. Isn't that exactly what Big Mom does to make her very talkative and often singing homies? Now let's apply this knowledge to put together a little theory. Okay, so piggybacking off of my cursed blade theory, in which I imply that there's Haki imbued in the blade that comes from the blacksmith, which gives the sword its own presence. I will now propose that it is Haki imbued within the poneglyphs left by their original creators that leaves a voice for Roger to hear using the technique known as the voice of all things. And what do you know, cursed blades and poneglyphs are...
And that's another great example of Haki being used not just for battle. In fact, I think before now, I mean, the present time of One Piece, Haki really is just mostly used for battle. But there might have been a time, aka the Ancient Kingdom, where they had a greater understanding of these spiritual abilities and more just used it for a better quality of life in general.
Yeah.
But now it's more just archaic and it's just used for the basic things, which is battle, which is reflective of human history. A lot of innovation, the human innovation really started with fighting and killing, and a lot of our technology, the newest technology is often put towards military. That's just human nature. Whenever as things progress, they originally start for fighting and control of power and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about cause you kind of mentioned Big Mom's sword too, how it's kind of similar to Curse, right? But it made me think, right? Like we talking about Conquerors Haki manifest, right?
Mm-hmm.
We look. I think a great example of Conquerors Haki not being used just for fighting as well are swordsmiths, right? Like we like Kazaburo when he says he says these cursed swords have wills, right? Or these name swords have wills. How was a sword able to manifest a will or a soul?
Well, that's the point I'm trying to get to in here. That this is Conqueror's Haki. This is the crown chakra. It's the point I've been trying to make with the specifying external versus internal. So that external voice, that's that chosen few, but that internal voice, that's why I keep saying, I like what you're saying with the Usopp and the Sanji and the food and stuff. I think there's an aspect of Conqueror's Haki that has to do less with whatever you inherently gain and more about basically the opposite. Instead of inherent, it's something you actually put work towards, and you can unlock this Haki ability. It's your passion. So Kozobora as a swordsmith, he's just so passionate. He loves making swords. And eventually it developed into this ability, which is kind of a reference. I can reference Komugi again, because that's how she was using Nen when playing that game. But she doesn't know what Nen is.
Nope.
She was just so passionate about it that she could learn subconsciously to use Nen. So I don't even think Kozobora would know that he's using Conqueror's Haki. It's just subconscious. He's just so passionate. He's just so in a flow state. Yeah. That's something I haven't really mentioned a lot. I'm going to definitely mention a lot more in my future Understanding Haki, is this concept of flow state. I did mention it a good amount in the orange Haki, the water Haki. I'm talking about Rio and that flow. But flow shows up actually a whole lot throughout all the chakras.
Yeah.
All right.
Both made in Wano. If putting Haki into a poneglyph gives it a voice, then that falls in line with what seems to be the primary objective of many homies. When Mother Camel creates a homie, she said that she would give it a voice. In fact, in one of the secret endings, I compared my theory to that of the Klabartaman, a spirit inhabiting a ship, which I believe to be the result of Conqueror's Haki. And what do you know? Big Mom's ship has its own spirit. Big Mom's power perfectly encapsulates the crown chakra element, which is one of the biggest reasons why I believe the power of thought is Conqueror's true power. In the first instance of seeing Luffy use Conqueror's Haki, he calmly stated to the bull his intent. He used his voice to get across his will. But really, it was what was on his mind that mattered most. The thing about Luffy is that 99% of the time, he speaks his thoughts aloud. He's constantly projecting the most powerful element, his thoughts. In my Cursed Blade theory, I said the swordsmith may have had Conqueror's Haki because they wanted to be the best swordsmith in the world. king of the swordsmith, I guess you could say. However, I think it's more than that. I believe it's about how passionately one devotes their self to whatever they put out into the world. It is said that a lot of people with Conquerors Haki are people that make a name for themselves.
Ooh, I just realized something. And people who make a name for themselves. And what did Korzabor say about the swords? He said, if they have a name, then they have that will.
Yeah, true. And that kind of remind me of there's like an anime. I can't remember the anime where it's like the whole premise of the anime was giving things names. I think it's the time I got reincarnated as a slime or something. Have you seen that?
I think I see like a couple of episodes, but then I just
it's pretty much an isekai where like dude like goes from the real world to like some, he goes to like a more
like a slime from Dragon Quest.
Yeah, and so every time he pretty much gives a character a name, right? Like I think there was, so pretty much he starts by like he starts out as a slime in this new world. Then he meets like these trolls and ogres, right? And they're being attacked by somebody, and he end up helping them. He end up helping them out, and he becomes like their king or whatever, or their leader.
Yeah.
And he gives all of them, because they don't have names, So he gives all of them names, and they immediately like grow stronger, right? Like they become stronger, and then like so he continues to like build his nation, his kingdom, and like more like unique character, like not like normal humans, but they're like ogres, trolls, whatever, like just kind of like outcast type races of being of not people, but like different races, but outcasts. And every time he gives them a name, they pretty much almost become stronger or whatever. They become more powerful. And yeah.
That sounds like what I'm proposing with this thing.
Yeah. So that anime definitely kind of emphasized the power of a name. You know what I mean? That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. And you talking about like
I think when I think of a power of a name, I think of Kingdom Hearts as an example, because in that game there's this crew called the Organization 13, and every member that joins is given a new name. Now, when they're given a new name, it doesn't like give them power, but what it does is it makes it as if the boss now has imprinted himself on them. So they have basically become a part of him. And he refers to these people that they even have their own wills of their own, but he says, refers to them as his other selves.
Okay.
And he's like he's in the pursuit of basically making them into himself, which is basically an extension of himself, which is a big part of what I think this power of the crown chakra in Haki does. It's creating extensions of yourself in other things or even other people. It's leaving a trace of your soul.
Do you think that's also like what it applies to like attacks, like an attack? Because like
I don't. Oh, are you saying because they're named attacks?
Yeah, like maybe
that's such a great point.
Named attacks usually always are usually always more powerful than non-named attacks.
That is a really, really great point, and I think Zora really highlights that because of the effort he puts into talking and preparing his attacks and stuff.
My man give you a whole poem before he cuts you. Angel said, "Sign Brooke is a soul in a skeleton body. Would he be immortal?" I don't think he's immortal. Question. I think if you could destroy his soul, I think but I think you would need something. You need to attack him on like a soul level, kind of like homies.
Let's say a different word is he now is his lifespan eternal?
Yeah.
Now, and yeah, we don't really have an answer to that. Either his lifespan is eternal or it just reset the clock. Yeah. Right? There's this idea in One Piece, or the best one to look at is Death Note, whoever's familiar with it, is like there's a finite amount of lifespan a person has. And I think in One Piece this is true too, because you look at Big Mom's ability and she can like take actual amounts of time away from people. I think that implies that everybody has a finite amount of lifespan. So with that being said, would Brooks' life now just be a reset of his lifespan? So let's say he was going to live for 120 years and he died at 50. So added together, now he could live for 170 years. That could be the case if he's not eternal.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, but like naturally, yeah, I don't know. But I believe like I don't think he's immortal in the sense that he can't be killed. Cause I feel like he was afraid that Ryuma was going to kill him, but then maybe he wasn't sure if he could die. You know what I mean? So, but I think if you're able to attack his soul, I think you could destroy his soul, which would kill him. You know, but his body, maybe he could always transfer his soul into a new body, possibly. You know, if things get worse. But I don't know. And yeah, I'm ready whenever you're ready, though.
I don't really highlight this as much in the video, but this concept of a tale, I think, is a very important in One Piece. I think in One Piece in general, this idea of things being written down in books is sort of a big theme that kind of goes under the radar of a lot of people. Like as far as like Nami's dream, like there's this idea of writing things down are so important. Now it's not as important to us, the reader, because it's just a world of fiction. It doesn't go on. We are seeing the product of it being written down. But I think there's a greater point to be made in the story of the power of writing things down. Now you look at this, where we're talking about imprinting and how this power could basically put souls into other things. Odin wrote down his story.
Yeah.
Yamato read his story. Now Yamato's like, I'm Odin. It's like I have Odin's spirit inside of me now.
Yeah.
That's just another way of showing that effect. There could have been more to that. Like it could be, and it is, that Yamato's extravagant, and that's quirky of her to do that. But also there could be bigger implication there. And just look at Laugh Tale. The place is a tale, and I believe that there is a tale to be read.
Yeah.
I think in it, of course, the poneglyphs. The poneglyphs are written down, and then there's voices there. So thought is not your typical, like, it's ironic when you think about it. We've been talking about these chakras, and we keep on rising, we keep on getting greater, and then we get to the highest power, the most spiritual, the most divine. And you would think, oh, is it going to be super powerful? Is it going to be some kind of laser beam that can destroy the earth or whatever? But no, it's just the thought. It's just thinking. It's just writing stuff down. It's just doing things. It's just passion. Even what's it called? Caring for a bonsai tree. That's a great example of the power of thought. It's like you're dedicating yourself to just catering to this plant.
Yeah.
It's not as extravagant as one might think.
It's funny that you talk about tales, though, because like I've heard theories about like if One Piece ending, like it'll end in a way where it's like Usopp telling a tale of like just think how we see the narrator, right? The narrator is kind of telling us this tale as the story goes on, but I know the theory is pretty much that narrator is really just Usopp pretty much telling this tale of Luffy, pretty much him and Luffy, right? Yeah, but yeah, I thought that was
right before he dies.
Yeah, I thought your point on this emphasis of a tale was interesting, because that's kind of how One Piece is being told, right? Within a tale, right? Because we get a narrator who always let us know what's up, Angel's Room said, I bet Oda has gotten this question and ignored it, since he's admitted to ignore some questions. Yeah, I mean, he has to ignore some questions. He can't give us all the sauce.
Yeah.
He can't give us all the sauce in these SBSs. People be wanting answers right away. Y'all gotta
Their
let it
presence,
cook.
their life, their tale. It's what you put out into the world by creating. There are those that forged poneglyphs or swords that could be a great example of using Chakras Haki in whatever they make. Culinary arts is also a great example. For starters, it already uses life force of whatever animal or vegetable is in the dish, but also the passion of the chef. The word shoku, as I pointed out earlier, can mean color, but a more common definition is actually meant to refer to a meal or diet. So I wouldn't be too shocked if you could relate food to Haki. In fact, it's kind of genius. First of all, Sanji is the main character, and food is super important to his character. It gave a whole new significance to his role as a chef if it was integral to the power of his crew. In addition, his father is a scientist obsessed with gaining power. He goes about it in cruel and immoral ways. It'd be such a twist of irony if Sanji were to outdo his father with the method as wholesome and looked down upon as cooking. Also, it's relatable to real-life spirituality as food plays a big role in your physical and spiritual wellness. You can even plan your diet to become more in tune with specific chakras. Now let's compare special meals to Conquerors Haki.
This is a big reason why I'm so against Sanji's fire ability coming from Judge in the Vince Smokes. I feel like it lends to that whole sense of self thing. I feel like it would take away from him if basically his defining power is something that came from the family that treated him so wrong, specifically the father that treated him so badly. The father that
does. I don't think it does because when we look at all the other Vince Smoke siblings, like they have kind of like some of them have like elemental abilities, but it's within their name, right? Like it's not like it's not like Fire like Sanji or nothing. Like you know what I'm saying? It's Stealth Black Sanji. That's it's far from Fire anything Sanji. So yeah, but go ahead, my bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you like that.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. But yeah, I think him getting the credit and going above and beyond what Judge envisioned is core to his character. And then I brought up the food thing where like imagine if Sanji is simply just trying to cook. He's not a mad scientist trying to obtain the power of godhood. He could just be a guy who really likes to cook. Something that they laughed at him, something they looked down upon him for doing. And just him pursuing cook, he basically surpasses Judge, who's been trying all his life to do these things of like making people more powerful.
Yeah.
This concept of food, giving power actually wouldn't be too surprising considering that devil fruits are power that's meant to be eaten.
Yeah, that's true.
And Oda made a point to really bring up this attack food, which is such attack cooking, which is such a weird name to give it. But attack cooking.
Hey, Luffy recovers from it too. Like Luffy recovers from food, so it's like food gives him power.
Exactly.
But what makes Luffy more special than anybody else, though, as far as like how food affects him? I mean, I get he's special, but I don't see like how food affects him any differently.
I could actually give you a pretty good answer for that.
Okay.
He is the sun god, the current sun god, and the sun would be related to the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is located at the navel. It governs the gut of a person, the stomach, the belly, all of that. The solar plexus is the willpower, right? That's one of the things that when you were saying earlier how like Conquerors Haki could be representative of someone's willpower, but just from what I know about spirituality, that's more attributed to the solar plexus because that is the part, the sense of self that has to do with your ambition, that has to do with your power, your energy, your motivation. Which to me makes sense because, like I said, it isn't just the conquerors that have motivation and ambition stuff. Everybody has it. And it's you ever heard the term the fire in someone's belly? The fire in your belly?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's related to. It's that burning part of you that is your life force.
Yeah.
If you look at anime, you look at the staple, Dragon Ball Z. When people power up, it basically looks like they're being enveloped in fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a flame surrounds them. That's what that represents. So Luffy, as the sun god, and he has that link to the naval area, it would make sense to me that he has that relationship with food.
Okay, makes sense. Angel said, by the way, Brook can be killed if his bones are crushed. But I was asking more about the lifeline aspect. Can he be killed? Can he not just leave his body and find a new body?
Maybe as well, the new body thing, I don't know. He might be tethered to the skeleton body, but maybe if he were to be untethered, he's no longer allowed to just like be that skeleton body, but maybe he could still exist as a ghost.
Yeah, if he's tethered to that body, I think he could die. But if he can untether himself, I think he could just be immortal and move from body to body. At least until his soul dies, if that's possible. I don't know. I don't know if a soul has like because we know that people have lifespans, but is that more just your body decaying and then eventually your soul follows your body, or is that more, does a soul have a life expectancy? Because that's the question. That to me, if I could get that answered, then
I think so, because that's literally Big Mom's powers, right? She's not affecting the person's blood pressure. She's not affecting their vitals or anything. She's affecting their soul. She's taking part of their soul that contains their life expectancy.
Angel said he said in Thriller Bark that he that's how to kill him, destroying his body. Well, if he said it, then I guess if he knows that for sure, then yeah, I don't think he's immortal. Then to answer your earlier question, I think you just answered your earlier question. But if you're talking solely like just natural lifespan, then I don't know. But yeah.
Last thing I want to say is I talk about how the environment could possibly affect somebody's haki. Or like even on a species level, like the fishmen, they're more adept with the the sacral chakra, the one that has the water theme, obviously because they're fish, right?
Yeah.
And if you notice, Ivankov, I highlighted it. Well, let's look at what Sanji says first. He says it tastes good, like in it, the power is channeling into me. And Ivankov says food is a part of your environment. It affects your physique, personality, your whole body. So there could also be something to the food where people live. The food could be affecting them. And kind of bring it back to what you asked me, is like, well, can haki be on a molecular level? I believe so. I believe there is something to that. I think the atom tree is known for its toughness. If the atom tree had a color of haki, it would be the root. It's just earth. It's like a tree with arm and haki. And what if trees breathe carbon and release oxygen? So what if the oxygen they're releasing to the people around it is then making them influenced by that breath?
Yeah.
And that's what chi means in the first place. So the reason giants even are there could be because of the atom tree and the oxygen it's giving out to people and affecting their physique, their personality, their whole body.
Now I'm
it's about what you put in your body, breath or food.
You made me think about Green Bull. Like he definitely he's probably gonna be great at armament.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I would say he's probably root as well. He's probably gonna specialize in the root chakra. Maybe
I could imagine that and I could imagine that and the heart chakra, because root and heart, all chakras can have some form of synergy with one another. There's no one way or the other. So an example of this is the sense of self. I think that's Sanji. The sense of self chakras are basically the middle chakras. how the root and the heart chakra work well together is that it represents the earth and plant life, because that's what plants are. Plants represent the earth, but they are also contributing to our air. Yeah. So there's earth and air. You get plants. Yeah. And plants are even green. Like green represents plant life, and green also represents the heart chakra. Yeah. So I can imagine both of those, especially since a lot of people think he might be Sanji's foil in whatever arc. Yeah. So it would be very befitting.
Angel said, "I'm asking more on lifespan being killed, not being killed." Bro, I'm sorry for my horrible grammar. It's all good, man. You good. I know y'all be typing fast, but it's just when I read them, I just have to read them how they are. So, but I get y'all want to get y'all points across, so I'm not mad at it. But yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
Specific chakras. Now let's compare special meals to Conquerors Haki. Attack cuisine, which by the way has a similar name to fighting music. Watch that video if you haven't. Attack cuisine is a food described to have an aura emanating from it. It can give a boost to whoever eats it. Sanji can even whip up a dish so powerful that his food can knock people out. So many similarities to Conquerors. Another great art form to look at once again is music. Brook can play a song that has the ability to warp the reality of those around him. Keyword, reality. Brook himself is a skeleton that is animated by his spirit, aka his Haki. He truly exists as a voice assuming the appearance of an ethereal being. It isn't Brook who has Conquerors Haki, it is his devil fruit that is using its own Haki on him. Brook as...
So just like you said, do the devil fruits have their own Haki?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I think like swords could have them as well, which goes back to the whole how it could affect Logias.
Yeah.
Like swords or just like devil fruits can.
I think when I think of cursed swords or devil fruits, I think that their Haki is really meant to affect the user. So like a devil fruit isn't attacking anybody or doing anything to anybody, but it's when the devil fruit user then gets the devil fruit and its Haki that comes with it, then they could use the abilities. When I look at cursed swords, it makes the user do things. So like it kind of would make Zoro attack people he didn't feel like attacking at the time. He even did that to Luffy when he was wielding the Nidai Kitsetsu. Yeah. And then you look at Enma, a different scenario, which it kind of affects Zoro's Haki spiritually instead of affecting him physically. In fact, Enma is a great example of the whole thing we're talking about with Conquerors Haki potentially being able to boost somebody. Yeah. We're seeing with Enma, it's like affecting and kind of almost empowering Zoro, but also it's like forcing him to bring out the best in himself. Yeah. So it's more than just a simple power boost. It's almost like it's giving Zoro a reason to do his best. It's forcing him. Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna have to interrupt you real quick. I'm gonna have to stop you real quick because I just noticed something that I never quite noticed it before. If you look at the panel on screen right now, right?
Yep.
You look at the bottom right panel. What do you see? Like, what stands out?
Yeah, he does look a lot like Nika, huh?
Yo, Brook is
Drums of Liberation.
Nika's little brother. Bro, that's literally
Drums of Liberation.
It's literally the same pose, except it's just bones though. Where Nika actually got some body to him. It's just Brook's skinny bones. Man, that I don't know, man. That's
very interesting. I never noticed that either.
What, man, dang, what? I'm gonna have to find this.
But hey, it's like I'm saying with that whole sense of self. The three chakras, the solar, heart, and thing. Those are basically the chakras of the soul, the sense of self.
Yeah.
And the solar plexus is really about the animation of life, animating people, which is a lot like what Big Mom's devil fruit is meant to do, is animate things.
Yeah.
And if you look at Big Mom, she specifically has an affinity towards Big Mom and Mother Caramel creating fire, homie. And Big Mom even puts her hair on fire, which is very reminiscent of the sun god.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interconnecting things going on there. And the fact, like I said, music is soul. And we have the drums of liberation, and we have Luffy being like, come on, Heart, hit that beat, you know.
Yeah.
There's a big music component going on here.
Dang, man. What? I'm just trying to figure out what Oda trying to say about Brook, though. Like,
Mm-hmm.
to
I think it's his devil fruit.
You think
that's what his devil fruit represents?
You think his devil fruit might have a bigger play in the story? Maybe
this is the reason Brook is the thumbnail. It's always had a big reason. It's just you have to figure it out to see it. I mean, that Brook has been telling us so much about Haki this whole time. He has to be in his devil fruit has to have a big role in the roots, I believe.
And when you think about it, right, Brook's power is kind of like reincarnation. Like he reincarnated.
I was exactly about to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, he reincarnated, and then when you look at like Luffy is kind of looked at as like the, inheritor, or some people could say reincarnation of Nika, or even possibly Joy Boy as well. Maybe like Joy Boy's a reincarnation of Nika, and Luffy's a reincarnation of Joy Boy. So in a sense, Nika as well.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I
it
never
gets
noticed
real
this.
Deep.
I've never noticed this.
It gets so deep. I mean, the stuff that I'm putting into my future Understanding Haki stuff, it goes way more in depth than what I originally did. Like when I made the solar plexus chapter, it was mostly just about the fire, the aspect of the fire, the fact that you can conjure fire. Because that was over 2 years ago. That's what was on my mind then. That was mind blowing to me back then. Was the fact that I tied in fire to Haki. But now, 2 years later, all the things I've learned, like for example, when I referenced the whole Dragon Ball Z and the energy thing, I think that the solar plexus chakra, or I call it yellow Haki, in my Understanding Haki theories. When I'm writing it now, I'm just sticking to colors. I say the yellow Haki is about the energy. So it isn't just to create fire, but it also empowers all the other colors of Haki. So a great example is Gear 4th. He has the flame patterns on his body. I think it's for a reason. It's not because he's a sun god. I think it's because he's using that frequency of the yellow Haki to empower, to make his armor Haki even stronger than the red Haki.
Yeah. Makes sense.
When I talk about animation, right? The soul animates things. Well, the solar plexus is in reference to the sun. And it's easy to understand that when you factor in the fire. But there's another reason. The sun is really, it's one of the crucial ingredients of life. There's a reason these elements exist. They're not because of like Avatar or Pokemon. You just want to have cool powers. These elements are the elements of life. We need air to breathe. We need water. We need earth. We need our home. We need the sun.
Yeah.
Not just because of fire and heat. The sun is the whole reason everything around us is animated. The sun rotates, which causes the moon to rotate. The earth to rotate, which causes the moon to. The sun creates motion. That's the whole point of the swirls. It represents the sun. It represents the earth. It represents the rotation, the swirls.
Yeah.
So that's the big significance of sun god. Luffy being a sun god is more than just fire. In fact, I think that's why Oda has not shown one fire power. He wants to teach us that the sun is more than just fire.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Luffy use a single fire attack, ironically enough. Because Oda's trying to tell us, like, this is bigger than just fire. There's a lot more to the sun.
Yeah.
And speaking of animation, what does he act like? He acts like a cartoon.
Yeah. Like Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it gets real deep. Oh my god, I have such a huge theory to put together. That was such a great observation. He does. I mean, that is basically Nika. I mean,
Yeah,
Oda is really.
yeah, like you was talking and it just stuck out to me, and I was like, hold on, why does this look so goddamn familiar, man? Why does this look so familiar? Angel said, yeah, that's what Oda said about Sanji's eyebrows in the SBS, saying it is the same as the solar system going around the circle, in the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the Oda boxes and devil fruits themselves. Yeah, man, swirls are everywhere.
Yeah, and he makes a good. You did have Future Sight calling out. I mean, you called out the Sanji thing and the Usopp thing because earlier I said, "Oh, I think the Kalabatamon is an application of Conqueror's Haki."
Mm-hmm.
And who out of the crew would have done that in the first place?
Usopp.
It was Usopp. Usopp was the one caring for the ship.
Yeah.
So if it was anybody's Conqueror's Haki, it would have been Usopp.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, in fact, the whole reality warping that I'm talking about, Brooke is doing, I believe, plays into Sun God Luffy. I mean, he literally put his whole fist through Kaido's face.
Yeah.
And he's not dead. He basically has reality warping powers, going beyond just the awakening. Like we've seen Katakuri and Doflamingo manipulate the area, which is a form of reality warping. But Sun God Luffy takes it to the next level. Yeah. I mean, he punched through a guy's face. That's just insane.
Yeah. I think did I miss that I think I missed that comment, honestly, when Angel said blunt Future Sight with Sanji cooking having something to do with Conquerors.
Yeah.
And then he said, you see Emma forces him to his best while Shishui doesn't force him. I'm telling Shishui stronger than Emma. Yeah, we just kind of debating.
I can give my take on that. I can give my take on that real quick.
Yeah.
So is one better than the other? I don't think if they're in the same grade, then they probably are around the same Billy. The ranking exists for a reason, right? Yeah. Shishui is a black blade, yet isn't the top ranking. So that just tells you this ranks matter. It's not a ranking of the testament of whatever the sword did, because the black blade is like one of the greatest things you could ever do. Yet we know of other blades that aren't black, still the same rank as Shishui, and we know of other blades that aren't black that are better grade than Shishui. So I think it has to do with the swordsmith who made it, the materials used to make the history of swordsmen used to make it, and then lastly, it's kind of like what we said earlier, the personality factor. So I believe cursed swords are enhanced by Conqueror's Haki, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's just cursed swords. Wado Ichimonji is not a cursed sword, but you know what it is? A named sword. And what the guy said, he didn't say cursed swords only when I will. He said named swords. Yeah. And I believe it has to do with a personality. If Wado Ichimonji isn't going around killing people and getting people killed, no one's going to call it a cursed sword. No. Even if it has a consciousness. I think cursed sword is a title that has to do with swords that are just more deadlier.
Yeah, he did say, he said something about like cursed, like people call them cursed because they don't understand them, right? Because
exactly.
They have a strong,
and that's what I've been saying.
Yeah, like they have like a strong disposition, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
exactly.
They're picky on who they want to wield them and everything. So it's like when you're picky, you're going to be a little feisty. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, and that has to do with the personality thing. I think it. There's a concept of vibing. Who do you vibe with? So, the sword, someone like, I forget her name for some reason, not Tashigi. There we go. Tashigi would not do good with a cursed sword. Tashigi, no. She had to choose between Shishui and Enma. She's not going to take Enma. She's going to take Shishui. Shishui's going to do better for her than Enma. But ultimately, out of the ranking, if she had to choose between Shishui, Enma, and Wado Ichimonji, she'd probably do the best with the Wado Ichimonji. It's a lot more graceful and sophisticated than the two of them.
A little too friendly. She a little too friendly with, a little too loose at the lips, you know. They're too friendly with him. You know, the Wado Ichimonji belongs to the streets. Belong to the streets. Angel said another thing is Shishui didn't Zoro pre-time skip, and he even comment on saying it has a temper. Yeah.
I think there's a word missing there in that sentence that is crucial.
Yeah,
I can't figure it out though.
Yeah, I think you're missing something right there. I'm kind of like, it's like something right there. I'm just missing a little context right there, Angel. But yeah,
okay, I mean, he didn't like it.
He said another thing is Shishui didn't like Zoro pre-time. Yeah, but Shishui didn't have like as much of an impact as Enma did on Zoro. Like, it wasn't as rebellious. Mm-hmm. I don't think.
I think that Shishui, this goes back to my Cursed Blade theory, which I said off the bat. Is it Armor and Haki? And then I said no. I think Black Blades are made from the swordsman. Cursed Blades are made from the swordsmith. I think Shishui is defined more by its swordsmith in the past, Ryuma. Whereas something like the Sandai Katetsu is more defined by their swordsmith. I think that's the difference between them. And a swordsmith would have different expectations of a swordsman than a swordsman would have of a different swordsman.
Yeah,
they come at it from different angles.
But I think if Enma had because I feel as though like what you just said, it makes sense, but it can also mean the swordsman. If the swordsman has to define the blade, I don't think the blade itself isn't that quality compared to if the swordsmith makes a quality blade and then you put it in the right hand with the right swordsman. Like let's say what you just said, right? Like Ryuma defined Shishui, whereas Kuzubaru might have defined Enma, and you could say Odin kind of did as well, but not as well as maybe Ryuma because he never made it a black blade. But right, like if Ryuma had Enma, Enma would probably be way more dangerous than Shishui. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like, I don't think so because it's the compatibility factor, right? If it's a frequency thing, right?
Well, I'm saying,
have you ever seen Soul Eater?
Yeah.
Soul Eater is a great example because it literally the weapons are alive, so it's the perfect example to use.
Partners.
It has to do with the partners. They literally called soul resonance. It's about their frequencies matching. They even use music as an allegory.
Yeah.
So that's like the perfect example. I think it has to do with compatibility factor.
I don't think Ryuma would have much problem with being like if Zoro it could be compatible with Enma. And is that even the case, right? Like, is Zoro really has Zoro became compatible with Enma yet? You know,
I don't. What sword does Zoro have the best relationship? I would argue it might be. It's hard to say, really.
Probably Wado.
It's hard to say because Wado Ichimonji is obviously more sentimental, but at the same time, we haven't really seen a lot of moments where he's like, "I need you, Wado Ichimonji." The last time we really saw that was against Dasbone, and that was like 20 years ago. In real time.
I mean,
we haven't really got a moment between him.
We kind of got that Zoro moment against King where he lost his swords and he kind of looked back, but he ain't never said like "I need you" or anything. He just kind of he was kind of like reaccounting all like his swords.
That fight was Enma's moment.
Yeah.
So when I was saying the define by there, I was thinking more of their personality. What they want from the swordsman. In terms of like, can we rank a sword great because they're defined by their swordsman? I would say yes if the swordsman left something behind for the next swordsman to use. So for example, Black Blades. It literally makes the sword physically tougher than it was before. I mean, in a way, it kind of makes Ryuma a co-smith, like he contributed to this sword now as a blacksmith. In fact, Hitetsu, who is a swordsmith, worded it like that. He said you can forge a black blade.
Yeah.
So it's like even a blacksmith looks at that sword becoming forged into a new blade. So I would give it its credit.
So let me ask you something. I'm gonna ask you something, and I'm gonna also pose this question to Angel in the chat as well. If and when Enma becomes a Black Blade, like let's say, and I say if because, like, what if Zoro end up getting Shishui back and giving back Enma, right? You know, I kind of look at that as a possibility to happen. But if that's the case, and he, but let's say he keeps Enma and turns it to a Black Blade, would it be better than Enma or Shishui, or like posing this question to Angel Room or Angel? Would you think Enma is a better blade if it becomes a Black Blade?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's for sure. Would.
All right.
That's like saying, what if Pan became a Super Saiyan 4? Would she be stronger than Krillin? I mean, yeah, it's of course, but it's not that situation.
I think,
and you know, who knows? Maybe Shisui could become double coated, and now it has longer hair and lightning effects around it.
Yeah. Hey, I noticed. You know something else I noticed about this panel? Like the one fishman, the fishman you see on the bottom left, he got the same shirt that Luffy wore. I forget what.
Oh my god, that can't be real. I mean, I see it. It is real. If that's a foreshadow, I mean, Oda's. We already know he's on another level.
When did Luffy wear that shirt though?
At the Coliseum. I actually met a guy wearing that shirt in real life, and I walked up to him. And I seen
somebody wear.
Hey,
that
are you
too.
wearing the same shirt as Lucy from the Coliseum? And he said, "Huh?" And I think he heard me, but what I said was so confusing. He didn't get it at first because I said Lucy instead of Luffy. I said it again. He was like, "Oh yeah."
Angel said Zoro used Shushui the most time skip. If talking about favorite, we can go off that. No, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think Enma has been kind of portrayed to be, you know, I don't know. I think Enma's probably the superior blade, honestly, because for it to do what it's doing and not being a Black Blade, I don't know. I kind of gotta, you know.
Okay, but think about this though, and you know, kind of like saying it's bringing the best out of Zoro, right? He wields 3 swords, and Enma is sort of like bringing the best out of him. And by the end, when he's like, "I'm the king of hell," it didn't seem like Enma was getting any priority over the other swords. We didn't see a different aura coming out of Enma or anything. It just seemed like now all 3 of his swords were powered up. Yeah. So it's like, is that Enma, or is that the power of Enma, or is it the power of Enma's relationship with Zoro? Because then you could argue, well, if he's wielding Enma and is bringing the best out of him, but he's also wielding Shisui, what if it bringing the best out of him now elevates Shisui to Enma? And that's why I wouldn't really pit them against each other like one has to be stronger. It's more just like what they do for the user. Enma is about having a tougher blade, and Shisui is about having a tougher blade, and Enma is about bringing the best out of Zoro. But it's also very risky. And it's a cursed blade, so of course, because you know it might demand too much of Zoro, and Zoro can't keep up. Yeah. But that's in Zoro's nature to be living life on the edge, so it really is a good sword for him.
Enma's like the like Piccolo clothes, where he takes
it's
it
a
off
drill
and it's
sergeant.
super heavy. It's like when you take it off and throw it, and it just like you take off your shirt and you throw it down, and it just like sinks into the ground, like it slams into. That's Enma right there.
I'm thinking of Enma like a drill sergeant. It's just like yelling in Zoro's face. It's like, come on. You do, just like yelling at him, get him to do the best.
Yeah. All right, I'm ready.
All right.
Man, this is a great
we got
panel.
A lot out of that one panel. Way more than I thought. And it was a really good observation. I'm going to take note of the shirt. The fact that it looks like Nika, like that's insane. Because I used the shirt when I made my Sunman theory all the way back, and I predicted that Luffy would have a sun-based form. I used the shirt. I was like, he wears a sunflower shirt. Yeah. Of course he would become a sun thing, and it happened. So that's insane. Wow.
Angel said
so many good observations.
Angel said it would be stronger. So Oh, he said Emma would be stronger as a black blade. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Finally, we'll press play.
As a musician can then create things that activate his crown chakra and amplify the already inherent Conqueror's Haki bestowed to him by his devil fruit. We already know not just anyone can use Conqueror's Haki. Brook may be an exception because of his devil fruit, but no matter how much of a name a person makes for themselves or how badly they want to cook, a person can't earn the right to use Conqueror's Haki. Or at least, they can't use it in a way Conqueror's has presently been shown to us. I'll describe the way we've seen Conquerors canonically displayed as a scream for my next analogy. Is screaming the only way to create in this world? No matter how loud one speaks, it doesn't have to have any bearing on how passionately one works on their craft. A person can silently cook, make a sword, or fix a ship, and still do it with all the passion of their soul. Usopp may not have Conqueror's Haki, but that doesn't mean he didn't put his spirit wholeheartedly into tending the going merry. His passion allowed him to activate his crown chakra and unknowingly use Conquerors on his dear ship. The last thing I wanted to address is lightning, this element that is without a doubt a product of Conqueror's Haki. When Doflamingo and Luffy clash with Conquerors, what do you see? Also, what's up with attacks like Thor Elephant Gun or Kaido's Thunder Bagua? Similar to like what I said in the last installment, which I believe through armament fire can be manifested, I also believe that lightning can be conjured through Haki as well. Wait a sec, fire and lightning spiritual powers. Ah, I see now. Is that where Oda could be going with?
So that's the cool thing is this idea of fire and lightning being used is actually present in Big Mom, like I'm showing right now, Kaido, and Luffy a whole lot, using these two elements.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen even before this whole sun god thing, we've seen him using fire, and he's been using Thor Elephant Gun. But now he's a sun god. We haven't seen him use fire, but we can't take away the fact that he's a sun god. So there's still that fire implication. And two, he was using a lot of lightning in his battle against Kaido. Out of all things to do, as a rubber man who's a sun god, all of a sudden he's using lightning. It's like, what is the relevance there? If not, there's something more to it. And I believe there is. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that these three characters that are very similar in a lot of ways do that. And I think it has to do with their personality type. They actually are, all three of them are very similar to one another. In fact, I think their colors of Haki are the same, just in different priorities.
Yeah.
So I'll actually write it in the chat. So I'll give an example of what I think their colors of Haki are.
But yeah.
So I think they have the odd numbered chakras, or the odd number color of Hakis, excluding the top one, the crown chakra. I believe it's very rare for someone to have a color of Haki that is actually the crown chakra.
So Luffy would be red, Sanji yellow.
No, this is actually Luffy, Big Mom, and Kaido. So what I think is that there's a primary color that is the one most attributed to the color of their Haki, and then there is a two secondary, or it could be even one for some people, but a lot of people it's two.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just put Luffy's for example, and then I'll just speak my words the rest of them.
Man, but yeah, Big Mom, all her it's wild because all her attacks are usually named after what, like gods or something, or like or like she have like sovereign, so like it'd be like some royal.
So I think Luffy's primary color out of those three is the solar plexus. which makes sense because he's a sun god. And then it's the root and the throat, which is the Conqueror's Haki. So this is when I take in consideration his devil fruit. I think maybe if I wasn't taking into consideration his devil fruit, I would actually make it the throat, the Conqueror's Haki. But factoring his devil fruit with it, I think it's actually the yellow first, then those other two. Because he's willpower, his almost unbreaking will. I mean, even it takes a whole lot for him to go through a lot. But even in those moments, like in Marineford, that just builds him up to who he is now. Going through that loss has given him something. Now he's even stronger than before. You know, like whatever doesn't kill you, make you stronger.
Yeah.
So then I look at someone like Kaido. I would think his red comes first, and then the other two are second.
I'm guessing Big Mom
because,
is blue.
Yeah, I think hers is blue because of soul. I mean, it's in her devil fruit. Again, factoring the devil fruit, the soul. In fact, I'm really factoring devil fruit all of these. With the dragon,
the fire,
they're just really tough. So the red is actually the earth, the root chakra. I think them being tough is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Hey y'all make sure y'all get them likes up. Get them likes up. And Angel said thoughts on One Piece going 1 month hiatus before final saga be. I mean, it is what it is, man. You know, I hope Oda, like, if he's going to take a hiatus off, I hope him and his team really put in the work. You know what I'm saying? So when they come back, there's no pacing issues. So I'm kind of fine with it, right? I'm kind of fine with it for multiple reasons, because it would probably give Oda a little more room to continue writing and give us less pacing issues, as well as the anime. So the anime, doesn't have to. Well, I guess it kind of would have to catch up if
that's actually
so that's kind of bad for the anime. So the anime might actually could take a hint. It could take a hit, For me though,
some filler episodes.
Yeah,
to promote the movie.
Yeah, we might get filler. Yeah, because I think Oda did say he's gonna give us some episodes for the Shanks movie.
Yeah,
kind of like I think World War Z. I think there were like a couple episodes of that, like in like filler episodes. And for me, with the channel, I could kind of focus on, like, I won't be doing the chapter reactions, so I'll probably start implementing some new ideas to the channel. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. It's kind of a bittersweet type thing, right? It's bittersweet because it sucks that we're not gonna get chapters, but it could help with pacing as far as the manga's concerned, and as far as the channel, my channel, I can start trying new things, right? It's kind of forcing me to have to try some different things. Angel also said he plans on visiting live action cast in Africa and working on a movie. Headed my 8 to 10 years long saga since the Yonko saga started in Punk Hazard, and that was 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use this time to work on my Understanding Haki finale thing. Just really, I mean, I'm already putting so much time, but it'll just give me even more time.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready when you ready.
Gotcha.
That, and Napoleon is a metal sword, metal representing the element of earth. Okay, let's stick to the topic. Consider this, when Nami has used Zeus's lightning powers, she done so by giving him weather eggs. I highly doubt Big Mom does that to activate Zeus's lightning. Instead, Big Mom empowers Zeus with her own soul, aka Haki. And somehow that spiritual power can generate lightning. Let's look at another Yonko, red-haired Shanks. Okay, so if you notice, I primarily stick to using the manga as evidence for my theories. I even do my best to avoid the anime. However, even so, you can still look at other sources of media as reference points, despite having weaker credibility. I say this because the Pirate Warrior series often shows off lightning in the attacks used by Conquerors Haki users. Kaido's moveset is almost all lightning, especially his roar that I mentioned earlier. With that context in mind, look at Shanks. He too uses a ton of lightning. And the thing is, when the game developers designed the moveset, I assume it had to be run by Oda for approval. Also, a lot of people have assumed that Dragon is some kind of Wind Devil Fruit user. However, if that were to be the case, how would that explain how he used lightning to save Luffy? As you can see, a lot of top tier fighters have shown lightning abilities, and it actually makes sense consider how divine the element is. Thunder and lightning is a godly power that comes from the heavens. I could see it being attributed to either throat or crown. Throat because it involves ether, the sky which lightning comes from. Also, given that the element of sound goes along with thunder as well, throat chakra has a good reason behind why Conquerors Haki users create lightning. The reason it could be crown is because that chakra is associated with our brains, and our brains operate off electricity. Also, lightning is considered a divine power, and crown is the most divine of the 7 chakras. It's hard for me to pinpoint, so I saved it for after I talked about both chakras. If I had to choose one, I would go with throat, because I said that it has the element of Haki itself, and we've actually seen the black lightning not just with Conquerors, but Armament too, even with characters not confirmed to have Conquerors. I believe the reason a clash caused by Armament can cause lightning is because the clash itself causes a loud noise. Keyword noise, like a thunderclap. And the reason I believe you can see that same black lightning from Conquerors is because the element of throat is sound.
In fact, that would make more sense as to why it's not actually electricity that hurts, that does the damage in Thunder Bagua. I mean, first of all, thunder is a noise. It's not actually, it's not lightning. They're two different things. Lightning is the electricity. Thunder is noise. So that's all the more reason that I think the lightning comes from throat. If it was actual lightning, then I would actually lean more towards crown. And who knows? Maybe there is actual lightning that factors in. Maybe that is what Dragon did. Maybe that's why we see Luffy as a sun god, dabbling so much with lightning.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're at the very end.
With that done, we have finally worked our way up the chakra ladder. So, does that mean we're finished? Perfectly enlightened, we're nowhere to go? Nope, not in the slightest. You see, the purpose of the journey is not to create the perfect reality for yourself, but rather a new reality. When one makes it all the way up to the crown, they have a reality shift, a new outlook on life. It is then that you bring this vision to the outer world to share it with others. The way this is done is by going in the opposite direction. You initially went from root to crown, now it's time to go from crown to root. And that's where we will pick it up in the next and final episode when we talk about and speculate the origin of devil fruits.
All right.
Alrighty.
Well, that is the conclusion. That's what I'm working on right now, is that idea of once you have accessed all these colors of Haki, what do you then do with it? See, you can use them all individually, and you can consider yourself a Haki master. But like the painting we were talking about, or making a song, collaborating all these frequencies together, I believe, is what can make newfound abilities.
Yeah. Possibly like Luffy's fire punches.
Mm-hmm.
Angel said the planet would be covered in tidal waves. It would be terrible. Now remember that Sanji's eyebrows channels the same powerful circular energy. Reflect upon this. You may go. 2 out of 2. Or hold on, I missed the.
That's what Oda said in a SBS.
I missed the first comment. He said Oda talking about Sanji. Hey, you there? Sit down now. Listen, everyone lives in circles. The sun, the moon, and the earth all spins in circles. And if the earth suddenly stopped spinning, the planet would be covered in tidal waves. Yeah, because that momentum is going to send all them waters or send all the water.
Mm-hmm.
That'll
and
be.
He's saying Eyebrows channel that same powerful circular energy, and chakras literally mean wheel. It literally means a spinning object.
Yeah. Yes, sir. But yeah, man, that's the video, guys. Hey, so after watching, so it's pretty much the completion of the series, the revisiting, understanding hockey. So after pretty much we watched all these videos, like, so where do you go from here? Like, what did you get out of this, and like, how did this help you? I guess with
Yeah,
crafting.
I took a lot of notes. You had a lot of great observations and insights that made me look at things a whole lot differently.
Okay.
Um, one thing that stuck out off the top of my head is when you were saying, when we were talking about the frequencies of chi, and you were
Okay.
looking at the void, and you were like, that kind of makes me think of Law's devil fruit. And I was like, you know what? You actually, there's a point to this. Certain things like that, you would just make those comments, and I would take notes. You're teaching us, you're giving your knowledge about production of music, and that's things I'm taking note of. So there's comments too that people say, and Angel's Room and his knowledge about the SBS and what he told me, or hope it wasn't someone else, or somebody told me
It could
that
have
there
been
was an
Adam,
SBS about
either
GARP.
either
Yeah,
Adam or Angel's prop most likely. Adam
that there's
always
an
throwing
SBS
some
saying
jewels.
GARP used the fist of love, and things of that nature. So in my own, just looking at things a whole different way, like with everything I have learned now and rewatching it, I could look at things a little differently, and it would spark inspiration. So it just really helped, spark a ton of inspiration that I'm now going to be putting into the Understanding Hockey finale.
I guess it was Angel. He said it was him.
Yeah.
So okay, and how about this? So we kind of you kind of went over how, like, I guess rewatching helped you. So what about, like, I guess what we've got from the manga since you created these understanding hockey? Like, what about what new information from the manga that definitely helped you? I'm pretty sure
There
the
was,
sun got the Nika thing probably.
oh, yeah. Yeah, that was definitely, that was just things like that. It gives me new insight. It's also when I sort of predict things along those lines and I see it come to fruition, it also inspires me, or like it motivates me, like, oh, yeah. It feels good to be knowing that on some level, like, I'm kind of seeing Oda's writing, and I could see where it's going in one way or the other. And
Yeah.
as a writer myself, it makes me feel good.
Okay.
Um, Certain things also help me to see the direction I'm going does actually have a point to it. Like when I see the drums of liberation, and it's causing the Conquerors hockey lightning, and it's like, oh, so music does play a role. Or when I see Hyogoro use a fire attack, and that's one of the things I said in my theory is like, well, Hyogoro hasn't shown this, but maybe it's just because his will is broken or he's too old. And then Oda shows us a young Hyogoro. It's like, wow, it's perfect. Now let's see
Yeah.
if he uses a fire attack. And then he uses a fire attack. I'm just like, oh, wow. We see Kaido, he roars and it shoots out lightning, stuff like that.
Or
Just
wind.
really helped me. Mm-hmm. Even the Red Sea theory plays a role. It's not understanding hockey, but it does play a role in understanding hockey, because the big thing I'm working towards is showing what happens when you put together different colors of hockey. And to see magma have such a relevance in the current story,
Mm-hmm.
in my theory of how it could be a combination of root, earth, and stuff like that, that it's sort of, I can't go as far as to say it all confirms my theory, but it leans into my theory and gives me more to work with in
Yeah.
crafting my theory.
Yeah. Angel said, "Time for understanding fairy tale magic. I know you'll do a great job, ELiDZ, with that video."
Oh, okay. So I'll make it 2 chapters. The first chapter is titled "Friend." The second and last chapter is titled "Ship," and that's it. It'll be a 10-second long video.
Hey, man. There you go. We just got it. That's all that needed to be said. You got what you wanted, Angel. You got your understanding fairy tale magic. Oh man. All right. So yeah, man. Anything else? Anything else you want to touch on?
No, just that this was a ton of fun. Don't be surprised if there's a part 8 in the future where we don't have to rely on a video. We just talk. You know, maybe somebody else joins the discussion too.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's
and we
that,
just
though.
talk about hockey, because that it's just called Understanding Haki. It's not like a specific theory like Usopp is an ancient weapon. You know, it's just understanding hockey. It's something we can just chat about.
Yeah, definitely. Any you wanna let everybody know, you know, what you might be up to, with, you know, what we could look out for from you in the future, in the near future, hopefully, you know.
Near future, I can't give a near future answer. What I can give is
the nearest of futures.
Okay, the nearest thing, I'm not starting Red Sea Theory Part 3. I'm not starting Luffy's Awakening anything. I have a theory on Emu that's not going to come out, because the thing that's going to come out before any of those theories, which you should be excited for and look out, is Understanding Haki finale. I've held that off too long. I'm putting it together. I'm putting my all into it. I'm going all out. There's going to be so much spiritual references, so many scientific references. Do I make things overcomplicated? Yes, because that's me. You know, that's my crown chakra. That's my conquerors. That's my voice. That's who I am. It's my sense of self. I'm just being myself and putting my all, and just to share with everybody to appreciate.
And the next theory y'all gonna get is gonna be Brooke being the reincarnation of Nika's brother Nija.
I like that.
It's Nija. You know, for people who might think it could be a different word, it's not that word. It's J, Nija. You know. No, I'm playing. But hey, man, I really appreciate you coming through. You know.
Yeah, I heard it actually was going to be spelled Niga, but then somebody told him he can't do that.
Hey, so the ELiDZ, his channel, like the link to his channel will be in the description box. So you guys go ahead and go to his channel and go subscribe and go, you know, watch his videos. You know, and while you do that, before you hit that link to his channel, make sure you hit that link, or make sure you hit that like button and subscribe as well to this video. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate ELiDZ for coming through and, you know, pretty much wrapping this series up, even though it may not necessarily be fully wrapped up, so don't take that as the gospel. It's just, as far as us reviewing these videos, or, you know, the Understanding Haki videos, that's pretty much, that aspect is wrapped up for the moment, at least. You know, we could always revisit, you know.
Yep. At the very least, we ended it on part 7, which is poetic, because this is a theory about the 7 chakras.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Good point.
Thank you to everyone that has joined.
Yes, sir.
And it's not the last time I'm going to be on this channel, though.
Oh,
you know,
most definitely not.
Just the end of this specific thing.
Let you guys know, I got some ideas that I'm planning on including or implementing in the chapter in the near future. Some different types of streams, right? I also want to expand on maybe other animes, mangas, or whatever. Maybe do some other reaction videos to different mangas. Like, I think Solo Leveling is one I'm thinking of. Maybe Ippo. what's it called? Ippo no Hajime. Yeah, that one. I kind of want to. I might. I think one of the next ones I do is might be Berserk because I haven't read or watched Berserk just yet. So that might actually be the first. That might be where I start because I kind of have watched or read Solo Leveling, but I kind of want to like restart it and restart it or whatever. But yeah,
The thing about Berserk is like there's no ending.
all that you heard is coming back.
I want to
right?
get into it.
Huh? You heard it's coming back, right?
Yeah, but I'm scared of what it would be like without the actual author. Like, did he log everything in before his passing?
Yeah.
Or are they going to just have someone else make it? Because then it's not the same thing. Not to say it's going to be bad, but I hope it's going to be good. But it's, it is worrisome.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so that's gonna be, I got a few plans that I want to do, and I definitely want to start, bringing people on to guests for some things. I got some tier list streams that I might do, not just power scaling, but a lot of people want me to do some power scaling streams. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna give you guys
on the swords.
What you want.
Make a tier list for the swords.
I usually hate doing anything when it comes to power scaling in One Piece because things aren't so black and white when it comes to like power scaling. So it's always hard to have good arguments. I think in a lot of other animes, it's a little easier. You can always say, well, this guy's the strongest. This guy's the second strongest. One Piece is a little weird with it. Like, Oda don't like giving us clear-cut answers. And so I know if I do a power scaling thing, a lot of people, nobody's going to be happy pretty much. People.
I've always had this idea of making a tier list, the hottest One Piece characters.
Yeah.
And I'll have a selection of Sanji, Ace, Akainu, Oven, Niji, King, Kaido. The hottest. Big Mom's hair.
You might throw Luffy in there.
Luffy. Yeah.
I forgot what the guy's name was. He was like in the filler where he was like
filler guy. That's what we call him.
He was
everybody know what we're talking about.
Yeah, he was like the dad of some mercenary family or bounty hunting family, and I think his ability was like ovens or something. It was like basically, literally the same thing, but except he was just a non-canon character. But yeah, so and I think the timing for making changes to this channel is great timing because we're about to definitely
look at
go
your
into
life.
Yeah.
You've moved.
Yeah.
Everything's changing for you.
I moved and we're going on this hiatus, this 1 month hiatus. So I won't be having no chapter discussions to really do in the next coming month, which sucks, but it is what it is. Angel said, great stream. No, it's poetic because of Team 7's 7th Hokage. Why you keep saying Hokage? I'm lost on that aspect. Like, I know you brought up Hokage before, but I ain't really think much of it. So and you say you should watch Hajime no Ippo instead of read it. Okay, I'll do that. Read when you finish the anime. And then he says Zoro, 2, he's ignite flames around his body. Or like blue flames or something, I think. Or green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinemon.
Yeah. Kinemon. Yeah, I can't think of nobody else, honestly.
Hyogoro. But only when he was young. He's not hot when he's old.
Aokiji, he'll just be the last character,
Okay, yeah.
Because he technically messes with temperature. He technically messes with manipulates temperature. But yeah. Anyway, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Anybody who tunes into this later, let me know what you guys thought of some of the concepts we talked about. What did you agree with? What did you not agree with? You know what I'm saying? Maybe you might have some something to add to the discussion, for ELiDZ. I don't know if people could tag in you on YouTube, so I don't know if they'd be able to tag you. But or if you guys want to maybe reach out to ELiDZ and give him some ideas about the Understanding Haki, I think the best place, maybe where would be the best place for people to hit you? I'm thinking Discord for one, but
Adam reaches out Discord, Cube reaches out Discord, and I usually get back to them.
yeah.
So Discord's the best place.
Yeah, so you got the Discord, maybe Twitter. Yeah, just reach out to him.
I always get back, and sometimes it just takes a couple of days to be busy and stuff. But
or the best place you could reach out or explain your ideas are on his Understanding Haki videos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's also a great place.
Go to each video and check it out. Comment on his channel, whatever. Yeah. So let me give a few shout outs. Shout out to John Me. John Me. I feel like that's one of those names that means something. Like join me or something. I don't know. Shout out to Angel. Shout out to Cube, and shout out to Adam. And I think that's all the shout outs. And shout out to ELiDZ, of course, who was part of the stream. Yeah, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And if you're looking for a One Piece community to be a part of, or you want to just reach out to me or ELiDZ, we have the Discord. That is also the best place to send me videos or send me stuff to react to, right? If you want to send me something to react to, we have a reaction submission channel in the Discord that you guys could post something and I'll get to it when I can. I'm kind of behind on that as well, so I need to catch up. But yeah, but you got anything else you want to add? Any plugs?
Nope.
He doesn't. All those things will be in the description box, as well as ELiDZ, the link to his channel, so y'all go hit him up. Anyway, y'all, it's your boy Sean P. the Bluff God, and I am out. And my special guest ELiDZ, we are both gone. I'm out of here. Peace.
See ya.